right, good afternoon, ARB. You're live and recording. You may start.
Thank you. Thank you, LTV, and welcome to the May 25th, 2023 Architectural Review Board meeting for the town of East Hampton. My name is Kathleen Cunningham. I'm the chair of this agency. It's my great privilege to chair it. I'm going to start today just reading from Section 255-11-31 of our town code, which discusses fences, walls, and berms. The recent rapid growth of the town has come a proliferation of high berms, fences, and walls, especially in residential areas. While these structures often provide a means for a property owner on which they are located to achieve privacy, the benefits achieved are often outweighed by the public harm done. This is our code. This is what directs our process. Setbacks. Siting of massive or opaque structures close to the property lines and roads defeats the light and air bases for required yard setbacks imposed upon other structures. Historic and rural character. The presence of such structures diminishes the visual attributes of the town by obscuring long vistas and views of natural and man-made features basic to the town's character, including historic buildings set close to roads, and by creating a walled-in urban look, which means we don't want a walled-in urban look. Safety. By destroying sightlines and eliminating open areas alongside streets and highways, such structures can make intersections more dangerous, increase the hazard to pedestrians and animals, and create blind driveways wherever they appear. Okay, so that's just to start, just to remind us of, and center us in terms of our work here. So the first order of business is to approve the minutes of May 11th, 2023. May I have a motion, please?
So move.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passed and carried. Thank you. And our first application is Dustin Horowitz and Pearl Lee modification, Suffolk County Tax Act number 300-172-2-4. Tara's here, and this is Frank's. Okay, Frank.
Okay, this application has come before us previously. This is an application is a request to amend a previously approved resolution from September 2022 for a single-family dwelling in Amagansett, near the intersection of Montauk Highway and Atlantic Avenue. That resolution was approved, which changed the exterior walls, which received stucco or cedar shingle siding. And this request before us is again to change which exterior walls receive stucco or cedar shingles. I think that rather than trying to explain what was previously approved with these changes, I think the best thing to do is just to run through the photographs, what's been currently built, then run through what the proposed changes are.
That'd be great.
So that is facing the rear. So what is as built, pretty obvious. What's white is stucco. What's shingled is shingled, and the blue skin is under consideration for in this application.
Okay.
And keep going, right? So those are the walls flanking the rear, and then moving to the front of the property and the front door. So to the left, that's facing Montauk Highway. That's the front of the house. Keep going. That is the entry, right? That's the entry there. So the application reads, the property owners would now like to modify the approval once again to change the exterior facing sides of the long sections of the H that face the adjacent parcels. So it's the outer walls facing the side yard. The original approval was for stucco on these sides, which face the neighboring parcels. They would now like these sections to be cedar that match the interior facing sides of the entryway and the end caps of the two H wings. As a result, the entire structure will be cedar shingle with the exception of the middle facade on the front and the rear and interior facing sections of the H wings on the front.
Yeah, Julie's got
Entry
pictures.
area. So perhaps the applicant or representative can come forward and just show us on these photographs, kind of point what should be what
Sure. I know we've been through this so many times. I'm Tara Burke from Lighthouse Land Planning here on behalf of the Horowitzes. I tried to spell it out on the cover page of the application of each piece because it's a little crazy making. But basically, what we're asking for these two sections, which are so if this is Montauk Highway, these two facing the neighbors to be cedar shingle. Those were original.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The side walls, the
Sides. Yeah,
exterior
exactly.
side walls.
So if you approve that, as a result, the entire thing is cedar shingle with the exception of the front facing
Right.
middle section. And then in the back on that courtyard, all three interior are stucco. Other than that, everything would be cedar shingle.
So with the exception of the side walls that we're looking at, the blue skin is not, so the as-built is being requested is the change, right? We're
So
not
the as-built is
proposing,
all approved already.
well, you're asking for that to be changed, right? to
No.
that.
No,
That's an interior facing courtyard,
just the sides.
just the blue skin.
Yeah, my
only
understanding is
part-
just the blue part.
Not done yet
Okay.
is the part that we're asking for a modification on.
Yeah.
Okay,
She listed what was
Okay,
approved
so
on the
only-
application and just proposed the existing
Okay.
facing sections of the the sides.
just the side walls.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sides. Yep, that's it.
I'm fine with this. Does anybody have any
This is a
issue?
very.
No,
modest
I think
house.
it's-
It
I think
fits
it's
in
an
well.
improvement,
It probably should have
yeah.
been cedar shingled on the sides anyway.
Exactly.
That's what we were thinking, yeah. And I think we had that discussion with the original application, so.
Okay, so you want to make a motion, Frank?
Okay, I make a motion to approve the application as presented.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right,
Thank
thank you. Okay, next up is Spring Clothes LLC/Mobies, Suffolk County Tax Note number 300-189-1-1. John Tarbett is out in the atrium. If someone wants to do that, yes, he was third on the agenda,
I
so
don't think it would go this fast.
maybe. Because we don't want to talk about the application unless the representative is here. Hello?
Hi, sorry.
You're on.
Hi.
Okay, so this is my application. Mobius has undergone a lot of, they had a fire there a while back. And this application is for windows and doors on the southwest facade. I don't know why they're replacing, I thought they just replaced those doors.
Thought as well.
But that seems to be what they're asking to do. It says southwest, and I think this is the southwest facade. So these are the pictures I took. The windows they're proposing, you just scroll through to the application, Julie, where it shows that it's an order from Riverhead Building where it shows the window samples. I can pass this here. I think it's an improvement. The windows these are the windows that they're proposing, and the doors are similar. So there we go.
These windows are horizontal, those windows are vertical.
Well, I think
We went for the 2/2 is what we're trying to, I think it's the 1/1 in the. is this
I
thing,
think that's
It's actually, there's one different, if we're talking about the main facade, there's one
Yeah.
window that's
Right.
got
This-
divided lights on the top and the rest are
yeah.
not.
If you scroll, there's a couple different ones.
Because these windows have been changing for the last 2 or 3 years. They went from 6/6 to 1/1. And then there's one that's left that I think is 6/1. So,
Your application?
no, but I just noticed when I
we
drive by, the
remember
windows are
that.
constantly
Yeah.
changing in
Yeah.
this thing.
Yeah, I mean.
Was the fire, that could be part of the reason, but I don't think the windows got destroyed in the
Oh,
fire.
I remember as the 6/6, all windows.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that's not what is that what they're proposing
I
now?
think so.
Yeah, I think so. Yes, that is.
Much better.
So I think it's an improvement. I just, and it's just for for that front facing facade. Can you bring the photos up again too, please, here?
We just started this.
And
We started with the windows.
I think we approved an awning for this last year.
2021, we did the awning.
Hi, could you state your name for the record, please, sir?
Pilcher,
Thank you. Welcome.
What is your last name? I'm sorry.
Pilcher, Pilcher.
And you were the builder? or-
He's the owner.
No, I'm the owner of the
He's the
business.
tenant, yeah.
Tenant, yeah.
Bernie Keimbach is the owner.
So these are 4/4.
Yeah, this is different. Okay, so I guess, I mean, why are you changing the windows again?
The windows, just the windows.
Just the windows. It's just to relate back to what it was, colonial style, with the windows. So obviously over the years it's changed from colonial, grid windows to just single panes. And we had approval for a big bifold door in 2022. And I just want to make sure the whole building
I
will
think,
have the
I
same
think
sentiment.
these work better with that, but are you replacing the bifold door too?
Nope.
Okay, all right, because it looks like that's.
No, there's an addition to a window that is a window that slides over to open to. So two of these windows effectively open. So a bifold.
Maybe go back.
Yeah,
to the,
could we?
Yeah, go back to the photo.
I've been
or the-
confused by this from.
Yeah,
the
because
get-go.
the plans are
These will
not
be
that
double hung
clear.
everywhere else except on the ground floor. You've got the bifold 7-part. So yeah, can I reach out?
Yeah, please do.
This will be replaced with
Oh.
just
Right.
two sliders.
Right.
And then here on the main structure will be the exact same, this one, 4, 4, and 4 will be in the bottom there so that you can sit in the front of the building. and
So they're
open
going to
up.
be 4/4,
Yeah.
not 6/6.
Oh,
So when
okay.
closed, it'll look the same. When open, it'll look just like the bifold door being open. So to access light into the main bar area, we restored all the ceilings after the fire. So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
really hoping to bring,
Right, no, all the windows, it'll be 4/4. Is that the theme?
yes, exactly.
Okay.
four
I mean,
grid.
I think that would be an improvement over what's there.
Yeah, actually.
And the door there on the east,
And then eventually the windows above. That's what I'm also asking, to do the whole thing exactly the same.
So how many windows exactly are we changing here?
This 1, 2, 3 would be just 4, and then this would be 4, 4, 4. So it'd be 4 grill, 4 on 4, 4 on 4, 4 on 4 to match this.
So 5 windows.
Exactly,
windows
5 windows.
on
This is
there.
one inclusive window that looks the same as this, but bifolds to one
right,
side.
and then on the west side,
No,
there
but
are
I'm
2
not-
windows there.
Sorry, I'm not understanding. Are you just swapping out the 5 windows?
Yes, but the one in question is, yes, these will just be replaced with grills that will slide. So they're exactly the same,
Oh,
except we're
okay.
adding the
Oh,
grills.
so you're putting grills in. Got it.
Bring grills
Okay.
in so it
Yeah, yeah.
all looks like the image that we've created.
Uh-huh.
So all the windows will have the same colonial style.
Right,
Right,
but
okay.
where's the bifold
We go back again.
thing again?
It's right here. Go to the
On the main facade?
Yeah, we approved that.
Can you advance it to the next picture, please, Julie?
I didn't realize it was there.
I didn't either.
Right here. So this will be one window. It'll be
Yeah.
one window in total, but it'll look like one big.
Oh,
So
What do you
you're
mean one window? in
We
total?
approved that already?
No, we didn't approve that.
the bifold.
the bifold.
The deck.
So
We approved the large bifold windows
in
on the
20
There in that
deck.
picture, right?
what's there in that
What is
picture?
right,
there?
and you're,
But you're proposing now switching those 2 windows into one single bifold window.
Yes.
oh, I
Oh,
didn't
those 2
understand that.
windows.
Yeah, I
Ah.
didn't understand
Is there a
that.
That's
sketch
why
of
I've
this?
been
Well, it's-
trying to.
Yeah, has the
Yeah.
drawing.
No, there's not an
The
elevation.
rhythm of the
Facade.
facade.
Uh-huh.
So this is a very traditional house. Well, by
Old.
making a giant picture window on the first floor, I think you compromise the architectural integrity of the building.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be closed other than 2 months of the year. So, it's for these summer months. We have 2 months to make money, as we all know out here with our restaurants.
Why do you
Why
need
would the
the,
windows make you money?
Because it's going to add, you can sit in the front bar. We just did a beautiful big banquet in that window and you can feel like you're indoor, outdoor and really up the light in
Like
that
Hampton.
particular
so are you going to
structure.
remove the bushes? I mean, what else
No,
are you
it's
doing?
right above the bush. It's
If
hard
it's
to
a
explain with the
door, how are
drawing.
you getting in and out?
It's a
It's not a
bifold
door.
window.
It's the.
It's
It's a big window.
it's a
It's a
big
big
window.
essentially.
Okay, all right, okay.
It's not an accordion.
Is there a rendering?
The other,
I think we need a sketch of this.
yeah, I think we need an
Everything's-
elevation. All we have are the,
I don't have a sketch of the new window, this giant picture window.
yeah,
We have the window, but we don't have it in the building.
yeah.
Oh, you don't have a rendering of the.
Correct. We need to see it.
Is it facade drawing and in elevations?
I mean, I can kind of see it already and don't think it will look good.
Proposed floor
All right,
plan.
now I got it. I got it. Yeah, I didn't understand that. Yeah, okay.
It's an accordion door.
And
So-
then the door.
Accordion bifold.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
the
what the
door's
facade
changing.
will
Yeah.
eventually look like.
This is the thing.
No, I know, but
This is what
also
it will
really-
eventually
Yes.
look like. Well, it's very different.
Well, look here. Yeah, oh, there you have it. Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Front door is not, it has been stripped back from all its integrity over the years. We'll be bringing back the integrity to the original doors like we are in this beautiful building. And, you know, adding the modern touch of the bifold is, I understand, is the rest of it is just bringing it back to what it was. And I've looked at architectural drawings from the 60s and 50s. That's what it was. The door was exactly like that. The windows were like that. The modern take on it is that would be able to open up.
This bigger window is not,
No.
Historically,
yeah, I don't think that, I think that's what's given us trouble. I think everything else is fine. I mean, my feeling is that everything else is fine. I'm not sure how the
I'm not
rest
sure
of the
about
board
the door.
feels about that.
It's not a historic
And,
building.
no, I understand,
understand.
but it does have a certain architectural integrity that, you know,
And harmony.
reads historically, even if it's not historic.
Also,
So, I'm just not sure about that big window.
Yes, it does. Lots of grid.
I don't know. I don't have such an issue, to be honest, with the bifolding accordion. I mean, to me, the main volume is more, if we call it quote unquote historic. This is not a historic structure, right? So I do take a little issue with talking about referring to this as some sort of historic building, which it's not.
It's not landmarked. It's just been around for a long time.
Well, the thing, I don't think the bifold doors are in.
I mean, to me, the
They're
wing.
not, haven't they been approved already? Don't you?
you're approved for the
Yeah.
bifold doors.
The bifold doors are in, so we're not just,
This is going to be bifold.
This is what he's saying. It's,
What are
there's
we
no
Window's going
objection
to be
to.
bifold.
Just asking to.
What are we,
bifold
so what are we
windows?
talking, sorry, what are we talking about the bifold? Can you just point
It's
on
a
the drawing?
bifold window. This long window here
It's a bifold.
Instead of
is a bifold. How does that
Oh.
even,
these three
how does
panes
that?
slide to one side
Slide to one side. So it's like an accordion
for,
almost.
for a period of 2 months of the year.
It opens horizontally rather than vertically.
Yeah, exactly. They're not double hung. They're slide across to the whole. Yes, that whole structure looks like it's open during the summer months.
So that is gonna slide
The west.
to, in its width
From the
to, is
middle?
it gonna enter to the, out?
Exterior, yes.
And so, but isn't it gonna,
No, the boxwoods are
Here with the
cut.
door?
Boxwoods are cut exactly to the height, so you'll go from green to the beautiful, and you'll see all the beautiful beams that have just been restored.
yeah, no, that's not my question. When it moves out, it moves on the inside or the outside?
Exterior.
Okay, so when it moves on the outside, how many of those panes are gonna go toward the door?
Well, all three, and they'll stack probably about
They don't-
11 inches together.
They
Same
stack,
as the bifold
got
door.
it, okay, so
Bifold
they,
door, when it's
okay,
open, stacks all the way to here.
yeah, yeah,
And this will
okay.
be exactly the same to mirror this opening.
Yeah, no, I got it, okay,
So
so
when
it's an
it's
accordion,
open-
yeah.
Exactly.
I think it's terrible.
Loving that window.
A lot of glazing on this.
Yeah, that's not even what bothers me. It just doesn't seem harmonious with the rest of the building, you know, because the windows above have that space. It's just the pattern of even though they're not equidistant on the top, it's,
This was an old farm.
Yeah.
It was very traditional, 2 windows in the door and 3 windows above it.
Yep.
There's not much of the architectural integrity left, but I think by doing this, you really destroy any sense of architecture.
But half the building was an addition in the 80s. It's been butchered over, this whole structure. We brought back the integrity of this. This did not look like this before we did
I
it.
know, we approved
No,
that, and that was.
I'm just saying, so we're
we
just
gave
trying
it.
to keep
We
it
gave
all
that to
within.
you Because you wanted the light and the space and open it up, but I think you're pushing it to ask us to do the same now in the main block of the building.
I have,
It's
it's,
not a historic house, right?
no, it's just the architectural integrity of the building and the harmony of that proposed window with the rest of the building, which is,
So
you know,
think it
one of
looks-
our
you think it looks
tenants.
just Similar to the rest of the building?
Yeah,
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that's the doors we approved last year?
Well, because we
Yeah, but
gave
it's
you
not a
because
door.
we gave you the doors, and I remember that conversation. You're now coming back and say, well, since you gave us that, you got to give us this. It doesn't work that way.
Well, hold on, you're saying it's dissimilar than the rest of the building, but
It's
it's
dissimilar.
exactly the same as the doors you approved last
No,
year.
but
I
this is
don't-
dissimilar for this architectural style, which is a very common architectural style of a farmhouse in East Hampton in the 19th century.
I-
And that's what you're doing.
yeah, I
Your view is
think,
not to try to recreate 1964.
No, that's not the point.
But it's
And
not to ruin it either.
that's not the point. The point, I think that the doors that were approved, which are not really part of this application, are on a portion of the building. And I think that works. I think that's harmonious with the architecture of the building. I think it's compatible. And I think that all the other, everything else you're proposing, the windows, changing out the windows to the 4/4 and the other door, all fine. I think they're all compatible. It's this bifold, this large bifold window that I'm having trouble with because I think it just makes the front look like
It's
one
so
long.
busy. It's very
Aren't we
busy.
getting somewhat subjective though? Like, because there's nothing in the code that, I mean, where are you?
Well, we are meant to make our decisions based on the harmony and the compatibility of the
You
proposed.
think this is so dissimilar to the rest of the buildings in East Hampton that it should be denied?
No, we think it's dissimilar to the building itself. We think I do. I don't want to speak for everyone, but I think Chip feels that same way. And I think maybe
Dissimilar to
Esperanza
the-
does.
to
I'd
the-
like to
to
hear
the
what
doors next
Diane
door.
says. But
Similar to the
I think
doors
it looks
in front of us.
window heavy now. I mean, really,
I
I
just,
just think it looks crowded and it looks like too much.
But there's a beauty in the eye of the beholder, right? And I think what you're saying is that your subjective personal taste, this doesn't work for.
no, we're saying it's
point
not
of-
in harmony and it's not compatible
So,
with the building.
I mean, if everything is so subjective, what's the point of an architectural review board?
Right,
I'll
correct.
tell you that the code says that you should be making sure things don't look excessively dissimilar to the rest of the town or excessively similar, right? So primarily it's, hey, we don't want Levittown. We don't want every building to look exactly the same. And we also don't want things looking so incongruous, just completely
Right,
different.
right. I
This makes
understand,
it
but I think-
congruous to the building, is what we're
And
saying.
to
Yeah,
the
and-
granular level of saying, well, I might like that window, I might not like it.
No, no, no,
It's
no.
not about the window.
You've lost the farmhouse feeling. of
Precisely the point. Precisely the point.
original building.
Yes.
Well,
You've
your
lo- what-
purview is
what
not to
makes
try to
this-
maintain farmhouse buildings, right? You're not here to say,
Well,
you're not,
We're here to evaluate,
Character.
we're here to evaluate the proposal according to the compatibility, integrity, and harmony of the present architecture. And what our assessment is, at least my assessment is, that this building presents as a farmhouse, and that's part of its charm. And that when that by adding that, I mean, you could still have the 4/4 windows. It's just that piece in the middle that makes it look like,
we explained to you that the need is that it opens up the interior of a
we
restaurant.
understand the need. And that's not part of what we're
But
supposed to
we
be
gave you that
evaluating
open
specifically.
interior with the doors. And
Yeah.
then you're coming
Well,
back
it's
and using
not
that
a-
against us, which I
it's-
don't appreciate.
Yeah, well, that's not the point,
Whether you
really.
appreciate it or not.
That's not the point.
You approved the doors.
But because you made a
That's a
case.
whole
that
The
you
separate
took
doors,
light
yeah,
in
the
the
doors
air.
are not before us. We're not going to discuss the doors. We're not
They are
discussing
before
the
us.
doors.
'Cause you're comparing this and saying it doesn't look the same as the rest of the building. when-
Because this building is not cohesive as a whole building anyway. The part on the east side looks like a farmhouse. The part on the west side looks like a,
All right, we made your point.
Listen, before you lose your temper even more, let me just suggest, I think there's a way, my issue, I'm not such a fan of the composition of that window. My issue is the way it's going to look when it's open and it's going to
Mm.
and it's
I didn't even
folded
think of
over
that,
and it's
yeah.
going to look sort of like a hole in the elevation.
Mhm.
So, and to me, it's going to look kind of funny where you've got these double hung windows that operate up and down, and then you have the one.
Yeah.
It just
Yeah,
like
there's that
the way
part
it's
too.
like if they were to
The
be,
folded can be hidden with plants. There's a tree there that will actually hide.
actually, I don't mind.
fold.
It's not so much seeing it; it's more like seeing just the void.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's all this.
It's like this window.
Hang on.
That's the same thing. You're going to see straight up into the beams. When it's closed and when it's open, you won't have the crossbars.
We understand
But
the
it's-
concept.
It's like it's
kinda-
like if the windows above it
That's
we're
not
all
general, I can say that.
didn't have any mullions and were just modern windows, then I would say, okay, maybe that sort of matches. But once you slide that over, all of a sudden you have this mullion fenestration and then this big void
Mm.
with no mullions. So
It's
I don't
incompatible.
know if you want
It's
to
just
come back with
incompatible.
like casement windows or something that's operable, but I think that the board is having issues with that window.
And
So-
I did want to ask just about the awning. Does the awning have any signage on it?
No, there was signage and you guys asked.
An authorization from Kimball,
Yes.
take the application, is that in the
Yes.
submission?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
It was
Now,
Bernie was-
also,
Filter.
Well, if it's not, I was with Bernie last night. So regardless
Yeah,
of
but
that, there's
Bernie
no
was
text
supposed to sign
on the
it.
awning.
Well, you asked me if we
It
had
was taken off.
authorization.
Didn't you're supposed to submit authorization from the owner with the application, not. the
So we don't
owner
have
of the
that.
I gave it
But
to Maddie.
If I-
it's
David,
not
you know,
here.
if you
I
have
thought we
my phone
did.
number, if you
I
just get
thought we
there,
did.
we can
I
get
just
it.
noticed it just now as we were talking, but
I thought I saw
there's one from
his
Lincoln
name on
Filter,
it.
who's the
He's the-
operator of the
Yes.
business,
Right.
but
Listen, that,
Bernard
I think-
Kimbach is
I think
the
at the end of
owner
the
of
day,
the
if it was approved, we could get that in 2 seconds. So at this stage, I don't.
Well,
think
no,
we're-
that's not the point. And part of what we're trying to explain to you is we shouldn't even be entertaining the application unless the landlord has,
I thought it was submitted. David saying he doesn't see it.
I
It
know that
was
in the
submitted or it
past,
wasn't?
Other years you've gotten it and had it.
Yeah, it's a typo. So
okay.
can I ask one question before, just as a minor one, which is the attic window?
Mhm.
So the existing elevation doesn't seem to match I'm not sure if that matches the photograph.
Right.
they're all exactly the same height.
If it has a little point,
It
the very
has-
top one
yeah.
has a little
Little
point
top
at
one
it.
is-
So that's,
Smaller.
so, yeah,
We can
that's
make
the
it, if you would
proposed.
like to make it bigger the size, it's an attic window, like most smaller windows in the attics. So that would,
Julie, can you bring up the existing, please?
Photo.
Hmm. Okay.
Well, what is
But
the
there's a
photo?
photograph.
It doesn't,
The
the photo
photograph.
doesn't match the existing.
What's the photo?
I took the photo of
Yeah,
the
the
building. The
photo
photo,
has
the
like a
top
little-
window has a little peak
Peak,
on it. It's got a little triangular piece on the very tippy top. See it up
Exactly,
there?
which adds.
three
to
different
the-
styles of
even
windows.
an
so I
arch.
had nothing to
See,
do
it
with it.
looks like a charming East Hampton building.
Yeah.
In your opinion?
No.
I don't think
It
that's a
looks
very
like
nice
a
building.
You know.
Okay, you know what? If you're, yeah, we're not going to be, yeah, I'm not going to debate it. I'm not going to debate it.
Of course, it's your opinion. I'm not
It's not
insulting you,
gonna
you're
work.
insulting us.
No one's insulting anyone.
Go ahead.
No one's insulting anyone.
Out of-
We're, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. If you have any,
It's-
oh, well, that's great to know.
Totally fine. I'm
Is there
gonna go
anything
open
else
the
that you
rest.
would like to ask us to consider?
Sorry?
No.
Okay, thanks very
Uh,
much.
Yeah, listen, let me think. It's, you know,
Yeah.
it's such an amazing restored building. If you come inside and see what we've done, and if this doesn't, you know,
appreciate
suit your
that you-
needs, then we'll put our hands in
No,
the
I
air and say,
appreciate that. And the inside,
Bernie hasn't put a new window in there in 50 years.
That's
but-
fine.
So much nicer had you approved it, but, you know.
okay,
This
well, good luck.
We didn't
Listen, well,
deny
Thank
it.
you.
We'll come back to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. You'll come back. Thank you. That's positive. Have a good weekend. Okay, East Hampton Indoor Tennis Club LLC, Suffolk County Tax Act number 300-181-1-5.1. Everyone else in town. My goodness. Okay, Chip, this is yours. Oh, wait a minute. Who's on this one? Tara, are you doing this one too? Okay. All right, Tara's representing.
Right, Julie,
Okay.
can you bring up the photos? Okay, let's stay there for a second. So this is an application for the East Hampton Indoor Tennis Club, which sits on 24 acres off the Airport Road next to the clubhouse venue. Applicant seeks to replace one existing tennis court, I believe, with 3 paddle tennis courts on the same exact site. This is a massive tennis facility, if you haven't seen it. It's many, many tennis courts with a clubhouse in the center. The new paddle courts would measure 67 feet by 34 feet, and they'd have 13-foot-high sides, fence enclosures all around. New courts would be built on the existing court. It's the court right, I guess, in the far back where the parking is. And they would be in a row across, 1, 2, 3. There would be no additional or new lighting. I see no reason not to approve this application, but Terry, you want to fill us in on anything I missed?
Tara Burke from Lighthouse Land Planning, here on behalf of East Hampton Indoor Tennis. I mean, that was summarized beautifully. It's actually 4 existing courts, and they're replacing 2 with the 3 padel courts. This is very similar to the one that you had in front of you last year for the Ross School with the padel courts. It's basically the same thing, the glass walls with the mesh on top.
So So there's 4 tennis courts we're looking at, and these are the back 2. And the
Mhm.
parking. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, so on the survey, it's here,
Yep.
and then it's right on the part closest to the existing parking lot where the
Why are they
three.
called Cadell courts?
It's a different sport. It's, it has the glass walls, like, I'm gonna butcher it, but I think it's somewhere between like squash and racquetball, and they
But
play
just
off of
outside,
the
yeah.
glass. Yeah.
And
so.
smaller.
So they need the
Smaller.
walls. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
It's like walling in the
I know, I
outside.
think it originated maybe in Mexico.
Mexico, I think,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well,
Um,
anybody have any questions?
Can we look at it on the survey? I wasn't
oh,
quite
and
situated.
the planning board approved it, because this does require site plan approval. The
Okay.
planning board approved it at their last meeting.
Oh, was that was
Before us.
Oh,
that wasn't last night, right?
no, last week.
Last week. Okay.
Mine's even before.
Say again.
Because we have the walls,
There you go.
they're 13-foot walls.
Hmm.
Not really.
It's
Are those
these,
the 3 green things?
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so where? Okay, clubhouse is
so the
over here.
clubhouse is down here.
No, right on the left, right straight on the left.
Really? I thought it was just on the left there where the parking lot is.
So there's the clubhouse and there's the tennis. But this is like where the out, like the mini golf is down here.
Gotcha. Yes. Okay.
All right. This is.
And their own clubhouse is that rectangle in the middle of all. the
Right.
tennis.
I'm really not. quite
Okay.
Bowling
situated,
alley
but
is the
it's
lower part.
Yeah. I'm okay with it.
It's a huge complex, and there's so many people there playing tennis. It's amazing.
That's great.
Okay, so make a motion to approve this application as submitted.
Have a second, please.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. Thank you very
All
much.
right. Thanks. Good luck. Have a good weekend. Okay. Number 4, Virginia. Yep. D. Simone, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-24-1-29. Is Mr. Balsam? Hey, Alex, how are you? I didn't see you there. Okay. All right. So this is Frank's. This is for a fence.
Okay, we can, yeah, Julie, if you want to run through the photographs first. Bring the photographs and then bring up the survey of the proposed after that. Okay, this is an application for fencing and a gate at 247 Kings Point Road in East Hampton in the Clearwater neighborhood. No, wait, okay. The property runs between Kings Point Road and the bluff along the water's edge overlooking Gardner's Bay. The house is in line with neighboring houses along the bluff, such that the majority of the yard is in the front facing Kings Point Road. This is where the pool is situated, similar to where other houses on the bluff have located their pools. It should be noted that because this property faces the bay, the water side of this property is the front yard and the street frontage is the rear yard. It's important for what's permissible here. So building a 6-foot fence in the rear and side yards, according to that, would be as of right. The property is currently not enclosed with fencing except for a 4-foot high fence surrounding the pool. The applicant is requesting approval for fencing in the property as well as the gate just off the street. Have we gone through all the photographs? Okay. All right. So, and just situating people, it's a marvelous property, I'll say. Yeah. And if we can bring up I'll go through, but the owner is requesting the applicant's requesting a fence between the building there to the side yards. We'll go through that. Can you bring up the survey, please? It's probably the easiest way to explain this. So the applicant's requesting the following. Number 1, an entry gate, which we'll get to the details. A 6-foot high entry gate with gate pillars at 7 feet above grade to wood gate. Fencing around the pool is to be replaced with 6-foot high fencing moved out to the property lines, basically in the driveway, extending further from the pool. Extends from the property line at the street, goes for about 110 feet. Is that it?
Can you enlarge it just a smidge more, please?
I have no idea how to rotate it, I'm sorry.
You're doing
That's
great.
all right.
You don't need
Just
to
zoom.
rotate it.
Just keep zooming.
Just keep enlarging it.
Actually, I'll just explain. I'll say, so the proposed fence, 6-foot high pool fence, which is a little more dense than a deer fence, would run around the pool. It's the bigger one around the pool. Go to the street. It runs to the street and then runs along. The east is the left. It's the bottom here. And then once it hits once it turns from that fence to the house, basically is a deer fence of 6 feet high. And then the fence turns to the house where it's pink, and there would be a gate 6 feet high. And that would be there's no elevation, I believe, that's provided, but that's be a wooden fence. And on the other side, there would be a similar short fence extending from the side yard to the house with a gate. And the owner is not proposing a fence on the other long property line because the neighbor has one already installed there, 6 feet. Can we bring up the drawings of the gate in a rendering? So regarding the fencing, we'll review this, but that seems largely, we'll go through the details of where the front yard stops, but seems largely to be within right. So you wouldn't need approval from us to install that. Can you bring up the rendering too? That is the proposed fence off of the street.
The gate, the driveway gate?
Fence, gate.
What's it made out of?
That'd be wood. The rendering is a pretty good explanation of that. If you need, I can tell you what the file name is. There we go.
Oh, that's nice.
So there would be a wooden gate with stucco pillars. The stucco pillars go to 7 feet. There's an architectural drawing dimensioned. And I didn't see a drawing for the fence and the gate that go to the house, but I understand it's similar to that. So I think I'll let you explain the rest.
I think, Frank, I think you pretty much got, I don't have too much to add there, but you're right. We don't have drawings for the gates in the back where the fence would meet the house. But as you said, it would be in similar style.
Is this built or is this
No, it's a rendering.
This is a
It's a
virtual?
rendering.
Yeah. And I think as Frank mentioned, the pillars might not be exactly to scale in the rendering. Again, the fence is proposed to be, no higher from 6 feet from grade. So the fence itself is about 5.5 feet.
The
ground
fence
clearance.
or the
I'm
gate?
You mean
sorry,
the
actual
gate
tier.
The operable,
leaves? Yeah.
so the operable leaf would be 5.5 feet, raised 6 inches off the ground.
Right.
So the top of the operable gate would be
6 feet
So
from
this is
grade.
the architectural drawing.
Okay.
Okay.
And the posts are,
The posts appear to be 7
Pillars are
feet.
7
Yeah.
feet.
7 feet.
And how wide are they?
It's a 14 feet wide.
14
The
inches.
pillars.
A 1 foot 7
12.
inches.
1 foot 7 inches. So it's
19 inches.
19 inches wide.
Wow. That's
Okay.
here, this helps.
massive.
But why so tall? Why are the posts so tall?
They're really sunk into the.
I'd say that's out of my pay grade. That was just the architect's and the owner's preference.
Why so wide?
Yeah, I mean, I think if, having read that little bit I did about, the walled in look and all that, I think if they could narrow them up a little bit, they would still,
Pillars?
and of course, bring them to 6 feet, which I'm assuming is just a misrepresentation in the rendering, because it shouldn't be over 6 feet.
Well, I think they're proposing the 7-foot pillars.
Are you proposing 7
Proposing
feet?
7,
Ah,
yes.
oh, okay. I don't
Just
think,
for the pillars, not the gate itself.
yeah, I'm not wild about that.
No.
And I would try to reduce the massing of the pillars. I think you could still get the, 19 inches, that's,
Almost 2 feet.
yeah, well,
Very massive. Yeah.
that's a foot and a half at, plus an inch, so about that. That's big. That's pretty big if it's going to be square. That's a pretty big mass there, especially.
Is there a width that you'd be comfortable with?
I think 12 inches would be acceptable.
At most, yeah.
And it would give you a wider gate.
Because then it gives us, it's the nice thing from the street and the thing that we're trying to maintain here, because we aren't trying to wall off our homes and our vistas to the water, is there's some transparency in this gate and you can see through to the water. And if you can make your columns a little smaller and make the gate a little wider, it frees it up more.
What is the spacing of the boards and the gap, the board sides and the gap?
It's a good question. Does
Specifically.
it say here? Oh, my Lord. Yeah.
Like,
What's the one I misrepresented? Because I don't know. I did.
But I only bring because it's a pretty important question.
It is.
And
This doesn't
it's a
look,
very important question. And
we usually ask for 50% transparency. Would you come to the podium, please, ma'am?
It's not equal.
that's why I'm a little concerned. The drawing seems to be pretty opaque. So I don't want to
Mr.
rely.
Simone?
too much on the red.
It certainly could be.
Are you Miss DeSimone? Okay, thank you.
Ginger D. Simone.
Welcome.
Thank you. It certainly could be equal. So if you want the
Yeah, that would
the
be
wood,
nice.
the air, the wood, the air, yeah.
Sure, that
Yeah.
would be great.
Perfect.
Yeah, that would be consider that 50% and you can see a little through it and. it'll
I
still-
think the reason why they wanted the sides to be 7 feet was because it's quite a heavy gate going open and close. It's for stability. Now, I think we easily could have this be made narrow, which I quite frankly thought it was going to be closer to what you were
Right.
saying. But if it's a little taller, it just makes it look better and it gives it more stability for the weight of the gate. It wasn't for any other reason. It was more that it made it look better. And remember, this is 7 feet, whereas the gate isn't going to be over the 6 feet, but this part would be, I suppose, a little almost.
Yes, no, so that's the point. I think that you've got the stability built in. It's quite well anchored into the ground, as you can see. I think the mechanism will certainly be stable. We've seen plenty of gates. I think it's just a visual aspect they were probably going for without understanding that we don't approve things over 6 feet.
Even if it's
unless
the
it's-
backyard?
Excuse me. Yeah, generally we don't. Generally not. I mean, we could, but I don't think.
In this case, it's the backyard, but it's still.
Yes, it's still a front view.
View, yeah.
So
When you look down the drive, the house has got this nice straight roof line. It'd be
Mhm.
nice if the gate and the posts had a nice straight.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's more compatible with the.
I would ask if you're open to it, maybe consider a gate that's a lot more opaque. Given,
She said she would.
Well, I mean more than that.
Translucent, you mean,
As
not
in
opaque?
Not see-through.
No, not
Well,
opaque.
something that
Translucent. I wanted to
Is the
say
desire for the
transparent.
gate for privacy or is it to keep the deer out?
It's all about the deer.
Okay.
So
So it could be even more transparent, I think is what the. is
Well, the
what
more
he's suggesting.
transparent it is, the more they're apt to jump over it.
Mm.
It's when they could see through it that they apparently jump over it. So
That's
the
a-
more
that's a new one.
transparent it is, the
Oh,
more they're at. That's
getting
why,
advice
That's
on
true.
that.
If they know
no,
where
that's
they're
true.
going.
If you
Yeah,
put
they do
the
have to see
fencing
where they're
against
going.
bushes, they're very apt, not apt to jump.
I
because they
understand the
can't
point.
jump.
Yeah, I take your point. Well, I don't know. I mean, I think 50% is helpful.
come back to us. So, I mean, it sounds like most of the board's pretty amenable to that. So
I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I was going to say, it sounds like most of the board is pretty amenable to the 50/50. So,
So if you could come back with a design with 50% transparency and with the posts lowered and narrowed, I would say 12 inches width is, I mean, if other people object to that, please say so now, because I don't want to send them away to redesign the thing and have
I
them come
agree.
back and
I agree.
everybody say,
agree.
that's too big. So I think if you came back with something that was 12 inches square and 50% transparency in the gate, we could probably.
And
live
not
with
over
that.
6 feet.
And
anyway.
not over 6 feet.
And
Yeah,
it's
keep
6
your
feet from
pillars
the
at
ground.
6 feet. Yeah.
Okay, and the gates that will
Oh,
be
right.
close to the house, that will look similar, same kind of thing?
So
Six
Do you need
So-
the pillars these are pedestrian gates?
So actually,
pillars, it would be the gate.
right now,
They're
so
pedestrian gates?
the owner, no, the owner is bringing up something we haven't discussed yet,
Okay.
which is, I mentioned, what is not built and which they're proposing is to have fencing and a gate go at the house from the side yard to essentially close off the yard from deer at the house.
Right.
And it's obviously kind of a short distance between the two.
So is this
So
a
if we can just go back to
6x6
the
gate?
photographs. And actually zoom into the house right here before you go to the
Show on
photographs.
here where it is.
Sure.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Zoom it in, zoom in.
No, you can go back. Just making it bigger so we can all see it better.
The house.
Mhm.
Okay, this is where.
Thanks, Julie.
This is, wait, I want to make sure this is where this would be, it has to be wide enough so that they could get the landscaping,
Equipment.
not trucks, but
like a service
Mower,
Mower.
Yeah.
right.
get through there to mow the lawn. And this would be a small gate just to be able to walk
A
through.
pedestrian gate.
Yeah, and the
Okay.
only reason why we're having those is that because we can't fence off our entire property, we have to give the rights to the deer to eat all that. So we're, I mean, to live, I mean, to roam.
So,
We have to put the gates here so that we could have some area to put flowers.
so are you proposing 3 gates apart from the driveway gate? Am I reading this
No, it's
correctly?
two.
Two?
One on each side.
Here, one
Okay,
here,
so-
And then there's one down here just to get into the
Oh,
area.
into the pool.
Oh,
which
so it is
I don't have any issue
6
with
foot
that.
tall wooden fence around the eastern property.
And all of that is 6 feet?
The fencing is 6 feet.
And around your pool as well?
Mhm.
Well, it's not close to the pool. Remember, it goes to the perimeter, more of it,
I'm a little
much
confused right now.
larger now. Oops.
Right,
Yeah,
I
see where
understand.
the thing, yeah.
Right, but it's something that
That's just to
will
keep the
be.
deer out.
Yeah.
We're not looking to have 6 feet of fencing on purpose. We just don't want the, otherwise we can't put the flowers in.
Yeah. Wow.
David, is there an issue with how far a pool fence can be from a pool?
No.
No.
Because
I
it could
don't-
be your whole perimeter of your property, your whole property.
Yeah. I
No
think this-
offhand, I think that as long as it, encloses the pool,
Well, in some
that's sufficient,
fashion,
but I'd
yeah.
have to look into that and get back to you. for specific answer.
Same fencing
Well, I
around.
understand you need a separate type of fence for the pool.
Then a 600 house fencing.
It sounds like some people may object to needing a 6-foot fence. Like if you're getting a gate with like a sort of a semi-transparent wooden gate and you want other gates to keep them out of that whole zone, I guess the question is, why do you need another 6-foot gate as opposed to just a 4-foot?
Oh, if we're successful in keeping them out with the bigger
Right.
perimeters, I mean, that's what you're saying, is bigger. Why do we then need a 6 foot?
Another 6 foot
closer?
around your.
Right,
Well, I think that, let me ask you this, if we treated the whole fence like a pool fence so that the holes are
Right.
smaller.
Yeah.
Then could we just do this as the acting?
yeah.
That would work for the
That-
pool
that
fence
would
too.
be-
I think that
would
makes
be
more
A better
sense.
solution, so you
Yeah,
don't have to
because the
look at it.
driveway gate can't act as the pool gate.
Right. The
I'm sorry?
driveway,
Oh,
I'm sorry, the driveway gate
that's right.
can't
It's in
be
the
a
front.
pool gate.
Right, right.
Right.
Got it.
So
Okay,
they do need a separate pool fence.
I see.
But just why
But
6 feet?
I mean, my thinking is just do your best to do our best to get something that keeps the deer, if you really want the deer out of that zone from the house to the street. So you don't have to build a 6-foot pool fence. But I don't,
For purposes of the approval, I mean, to the point Frank made at the start, I mean, the
It's within
fencing,
your-
because it's technically the backyard, none of the 6-foot fencing is violative of the code.
Right.
Yeah, no.
So
Yeah.
it's.
No, I
really-
understand that. I'm not opposing the 6-foot fencing. I'm a little confused about the gates. I keep reading here that there's a gate, 6-foot tall wooden fence around the easterly
But I'm
property
just
line to the
wondering,
east side,
As of right?
6 by
You could have a
6
6-foot
tall
gate in the
gate.
backyard.
Yeah, I think it is
That's
too.
what I'm
And then
saying, so-
continuing from the westerly side of the house along line parallel with the face of the house, another fence with a 6-foot-6 wide wooden gate. And then to finish the pool enclosure, there'll be a 4 by 6 foot wide walk-in gate. So are there not 3 gates and then a
There are three
driveway
gates,
gate?
three gates.
two
Okay.
gates, one of them
Okay.
being a driveway.
Got
So actually,
Oh, one of them?
Esperanza is right. As long as those 2 gates next to the house are not in the front yard, you can.
Yeah, just go ahead with those. Right.
So the only thing under consideration here is the driveway.
Driveway gate, yeah, that'd be
So we'll
my,
come
but
back
thank
with-
you for describing all the rest of it. It's helpful to us to understand that. So I think at this point, the only thing that we're really going to be evaluating with your next submission is the redesign of the driveway gate, yeah, and then with the recommendations that we made. We'll send you a follow-up letter that'll help you tick off the to-do list. Okay?
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right, thanks a lot. Have a good weekend. Okay. Where am I here? Craig McNean, number 5, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-91-1-10.4. Is Lisa Pilon, Pilon, is that it?
Hi,
Hi, how are you?
great. How are you?
Good, thanks.
Good to see you guys.
Okay, so Esperanza, this is yours.
Yes. You were before us sometime in February or late January. And this is regarding, there's a driveway gate. You had already an approval from, I don't remember exactly.
1999.
Thank you.
A while ago.
Yes, I knew it was a long time ago, for 8-foot fencing. And of course, when I visited the site, that's when I measured, and the 8-foot fencing was taller.
Yes.
So since then, you've addressed that. All the wood and metal fencing has been cut, fencing and posts have been cut to the 8-foot height.
Yep.
And any fencing that may have been outside the property line has also been moved to within the property line, and that's reflected on an updated survey. And then the driveway gate, which you sent in a photograph with some dimensions.
I just
This
updated
week.
them because we had a few from the last
This-
meeting
yes.
that I hadn't, it was incorrectly measured.
Thank you.
Yeah.
This is the driveway gate, so you can all see that again. And we can go back to the survey in a minute. The driveway gate, though, is at 7 feet, and it's very opaque. And we had requested if perhaps you would consider either reducing the height and leaving the opacity, or leaving the height, my recollection is accurate, leaving the height and increasing the transparency, the translucency. And in your letter of March 29, you say you're not comfortable with making any changes with regard to that design. And I'll just read from here. We are a flag lot property which has a private driveway and only 2 other houses. So that was your reasoning for that. I know that this property is in a secluded area. There is a reserve area right across the way from this driveway. In fact, I think it is. And so to me, it's still a very wall-like structure that is sort of
I understand,
jumps
but I
out at
thought
you
that
in this
from
area.
the letter of, after our last meeting, February 10th, we agreed that the height was okay. It was the transparency that we had
Correct.
an issue with.
Yes, that was what I
So,
just said. Yeah.
by addressing all the other points that we had to address, and now we're down to the transparency.
Well,
I
the
mean,
other point was the deer fencing was too tall.
Which
So
we
you
cut
just
down.
brought it into compliance, which you had to do
100%.
anyway.
Yep.
The question now is with regard to the driveway gate, which you did not have approval for, and it is in excess of
Right.
the height that it.
If you had come before us with that proposal, you wouldn't have gotten an
Okay,
approval
but
for that.
We did speak about this at the last meeting. So we thought when we purchased the property in 2002, it had approval from that 1999 permit. We didn't realize at the time that the CO hadn't gone through. So I totally understand your point, and we're just trying to figure out.
You're
how
trying to
we can work.
legalize an as-built
Yeah,
structure.
yeah.
I understand that. I
And we
understand
had
that.
a gate here previous to this one for 20 years that was actually higher. So
Uh-huh.
we were under the understanding by
Right.
replacing that, we didn't even realize it.
No, I understand, and that's a very common mistake. A lot
Yeah,
of people
yeah.
make it. It's not, I understand that you didn't mean to do it the wrong way, but you have done. So now we're trying to
No, I
help
got it.
get to a point that is acceptable for the town and that works for you. So I think that the messaging that we gave you the last time was that if you would make it so that you could see through it a little more, make it more transparent, we would let you go with the 7-foot gate, even though, generally we do not approve that
I
high.
mean, how does that transparency look? Because we don't want to change it. You want 50%. So where can we meet at that point, or how can we?
It's not a bargaining session. It's not a
I know,
negotiation.
but I'm just trying to figure out how we can all be happy
Well,
here.
the way you can be happy is to make it 50% transparent.
Take
Yeah.
every other board off.
The other slat.
Yeah, that, just take every other slat off, and and then you'd have to come back to us. We'd still have to look at that. But my feeling is the board would be more inclined toward that kind of a gate.
Okay.
I can't speak for the board, and, until the submission is before us, people will say, oh yeah, that's great, or no, I didn't think it was gonna look like that, or whatever else. But this is the information I'm trying to give you. I mean, if you had done that today, we might have been able to
I know,
move this
but
along.
the owner's not quite comfortable in doing that.
Yeah,
And
that's-
we are
I
quite
understand.
curious. I mean, within the vicinity, I saw like 5 gates very similar within.
Right, and I
property. So how
I
does
would
that
bet you
work?
money, I'd bet you good money, they don't have approvals.
Uh.
This is part of the problem. It's just the
Like your
same
own.
problem that you had where you bought a piece of property that had a gate on it that you thought was approved and it wasn't.
Right.
And now you're trying to replace that. That's why I read that piece from the code that I did, because we have a lot of gates on our
Oh, I
fences and walls.
understand. I'm just trying to figure out
We're-
how we can all be
I
happy here.
understand. Yeah, so you'll have to go back to the owner and just ask him if he can,
Yeah, well,
Uh,
that's, and if not, what's?
if not, then we can't, I won't approve it. I mean, we can take a
Same here.
vote now if you'd like, just
Same
to
here.
give you an indication.
While we're
So,
here, we might as well do it.
pardon?
While we're
We'll
here,
poll
we
the-
should just
poll-
vote.
You want us
Yeah,
to
it
poll
says
the
poll the
board?
board. What's your feeling, Frank?
It's too opaque.
Okay, Diane?
Okay.
I agree.
Okay, and you
It's
already
way too
said, right?
opaque.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and so, yeah, okay.
All right.
So I think we're unanimous in our feeling that it's too opaque.
Okay.
So, and we would ask for 50% transparency.
Okay.
Okay?
Take that back.
Sure,
Thank you so
great,
much.
thank you.
Yeah.
Have a good weekend. Okay, now, number 7, number 6, Scott Freeman and Johanna Markson. At last, this has been quite, Suffolk County, what's that? You can't rotate. Oh. Okay, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-73-4-12. This gate has been before us a handful of times. This is mainly an administrative matter. I have the drawing here. Apparently, Julie is unable to rotate this picture, but it had been submitted a handful of times without the proper dimensions depicted, and it didn't have these braces illustrated. It was illustrated on one gate, and there are actually going to be 2 gates with 4 leaves. So we wanted the file to properly reflect what was being proposed. I drove up there, excuse me, on Tuesday. It still hasn't been started. So I've been waiting to do this. It's, you probably remember this from like last year, I think. It's taken quite some time. Anyway, if
Good
everyone.
afternoon. Hi.
Hi,
I'm
what
Scott
is your name,
Freeman.
sir? Oh, you're
Scott
Mr. Freeman.
Yeah,
Hi, how
I'm
are
the
you?
owner. Yep.
Did you have
What you
anything
said
you'd
is accurate, yes.
like to add?
No, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm ready to approve this if everybody else is okay. I think it's just an administrative matter at this point, because I think the design of the gates were satisfactory.
These were 2 sets of gates,
Correct.
correct?
Yep. Okay,
Okay.
may I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay,
Thank you.
go forth and
That's
prosper.
too easy. I'm gonna have a drink.
Don't say that. Don't say that,
Have a good
please. Good luck. Have a good weekend. He said that's too easy. All right, number 7, Julie Spain
I was inclined.
and Paul Bruches, I think I'm pronouncing that. Brackus. I knew it had a different. I have to write that
See, we
down.
tried that.
We did, yeah. Suffolk County Tax on number 300-74-5-15. Diane, this is yours, and Mr. Brackus is here. Welcome.
Yes, hello. Hello again. I just saw him a few days ago.
Okay.
This was a matter of, we weren't able to approve his fence as it
yes, yeah.
encroached on the right of way, not on the property line. So at the expense of the visual harmony of the property, Mr. Brochus has lopped off the fence, you can see that doesn't look so, it's nice any longer, but
But it's
in
not on the town's
compliance,
property
it's
any
in
longer. Yeah.
compliance. And
Look
this
how
is
green
their
and nice.
beautiful, you can see way in the back, the gate.
Mhm.
This is the area of their property that encroaches the slightest bit on the natural preserve, but they have furnished us with an encroachment agreement that was it's been in place since 2007 and it's still in place. And I can understand why the neighborhood would appreciate what they have here. So unless there are any other.
I just want to make sure, David, is that paperwork satisfactory for our purposes?
I have no objections to it.
Okay, great.
I remember him saying.
Oh, good.
All right, good. Well, I think he said it would be fine as long as we got the documentation, but I just wanted to make sure the documentation, satisfied all the appropriate requirements.
Yeah.
So I think this, does anybody have any questions for Diane or the applicant?
Nope.
Okay, Diane, would you like to make a motion? Did you want to say something, Mr.
No, I
Backus?
think all the issues you've mentioned, we've dealt
okay.
with, and we appreciate it.
All right, great. Well, I'm glad it was able to be resolved in relatively short time, given the.
And thank you for your cooperation. And so I would like to make a motion that we approve this application as presented
May I
today.
have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, passed and carried. Thank you very much. Enjoy your weekend.
In the process for the C of O,
We'll call the building department.
Oh, we could have done that today.
No, I didn't even think of it. Yeah.
I would add, it's
Too
a
bad.
beautiful gate. A
Yeah,
beautiful
it's a really
fence.
nice, it's really
Beautiful
nice.
design.
Yeah, too bad I didn't think
Yeah, it's
about
really
that.
beautiful.
Okay. Okay, number 8, Karen Karp, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-133-1-36.2 is
Ramon is here.
Ramon here. Hi, Ramon. How are you? Oh, this is just that simple one. You sent us the gate
Yep.
with the proper dimensions. Who is this? Chip?
Mine.
Okay, Chip.
So this application is on a 2-acre property where 114 and the airport road intersect. It's way, way back in the woods off of many flag lots. It was before us at our last meeting, May 11th. Applicant had complied with all our requests to cut down their extensive deer fencing to 6 feet and replace wooden posts with metal posts. That project was skillfully and meticulously done. Applicant also would like to install a driveway gate, and we requested a lower gate than the proposed 6-foot gate. Applicant has submitted plans for a somewhat open traditional gate, 5 feet tall, including posts, 15 feet 9 inches wide. Gate would be made of AZAC, I believe painted black. It would be 32 feet into the property. Will it be electrified, Ramon?
yes.
Okay, so I didn't see the call box, but we need to talk about the call box.
All box we're going to install on the column.
On the where?
On the column.
On the column.
Oh, so it's
it'll be on the
32
column.
feet off the road.
I
Okay.
want to make you happy.
You make us very happy, Ramon.
You're doing a good job.
No one is more meticulous in fixing things than you. So I have no issue with this at all.
Anybody have any questions for Chip or the applicant?
No.
Okay, you want to make a motion?
I
Chip?
make a motion, we approve this application as submitted.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, Ramon, thank you
you.
very much. Have a great weekend.
Thank you, everybody.
Okay, you too. You too. All right. Next up is Big Blue Marble. Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-196-1-24. Is Mr. Briner present? Is that you, sir?
Yes,
Welcome.
thank you.
So the way we work this is our board representative on the application will present that material that they have, and then we'll cut to you for any questions or comments, okay?
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, this Esperanza, this is yours.
Yes, this is an application for a new construction of a single-family residence in the subdivision on Wainscott Hollow Road. That single-family residence, on the application, it states it would be 11,494 inclusive of the cellar, so that actually it is in fact 7,728 square feet with a garage at 599 square feet a pool house at 199 square feet, and then fences, covered patio, and so forth per plans. Oh, well, do you want?
We're going to start with plans.
Start with plans. Yeah, please. Thank you. We benefited from a memorandum from the town planner, the principal planner, Tina Villas-Legren. And one of or two things that stood out to me were the heights of these structures. And I noticed that there were no plans or elevations that would indicate what the interior heights of the structure would be. Can you find? Oh, okay, this is it. That's fine. So this is the subdivision marked in the big red box, and then the property that we're considering is yes, thank you, Julie. That one in the far northeast corner. It's a notorious subdivision. Yes.
We've spent hours with the second lot on that, right? Yes.
It's, lot 4 is already subdivision. Yeah, but the actual subdivision was torturous. Anyway, I guess I'm not sure what these pictures were included for, but these are good aerials to give you a sense of the location. And I'll show you the pictures that I took later. How big is this property again?
It's about 1.5 acres.
It's 1.5 acres. Okay, thank you. And you've provided excellent visuals so that we can see where the property is seen. Now, one of the things that I noted that I disagree with the memorandum of the planner was that you can actually see this property, I think, from the street. And you've indicated that even in your,
Yep. From Sarah's Path.
And from Sarah's Path very slightly, but I think more from Hollow Road.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah.
Even possibly from Main Street, which I took some pictures. And so especially because what stood out to me was that it was a 31-foot, 10-inch high main residence. And it's 7,800 square feet. It just was a fairly large mass in this particular
I think
area.
we're trying to stay within our pitches. And we do not have vaulted ceilings. So it's not like we're taking advantage of that height. If there were, no, I guess we'd prefer to keep the 31-foot 10, but if there was a way to lower it, you could do that. I don't know what would make a difference in your eyes to, 6 inches or a foot or 5 feet, but it's.
Well, let's take a look at the renderings. You got them? Yes. Okay, good. We do.
Yes, thank you.
So these are there are larger ones though, right? Of each elevation?
Is this architect's name?
It's
Reiner.
The package that we started with the aerials.
That was in there.
At the end,
correct?
they're all grouped
yeah,
together.
That's
and-
what I.
Back the other way.
Mhm.
Yeah, because then it'll be easier to see. Sorry, Julie. And I just want I want you to know that overall, I mean, I think all of the materials that are proposed are completely in keeping. It's all cedar, shingle. There's nothing that stood out to me that was in any way not harmonious with the area. I think for me, it's more just a question of the mass and scale, and then just the intensity of the total coverage of the lot.
We did try, and part of the reason why we had some of the contextual images in there of our neighbors. I mean, all of them we thought had a little bit of an agricultural flavor to them. And those kinds of projects, they have more attenuated volumes and so longer, and they try and break apart the volumes too, so you don't get a big kind of mass, as you know. So we tried to stay within our, with that kind of a strategy. And, and it is nice to have a well-proportioned building, which is, the right height for the right length. We were really up against like our minimum pitch here, and we were right at the max of that. If we could go lower with the pitch, we would be out of our, allowed pitch. Stephen, are we at 5 for that?
We're at 6 to 12.
6 to 12, I'm sorry. If you go to 5, 12, we could lower the whole house, but I think we need to keep at 6 for the width of the building.
Does this house sit up on a raised platform? What is that, a wall?
It's very flat.
Yeah, so is that a wall?
Farmland, yeah.
But when you look, the driveway, we're 2 back, Julie. It looks, no.
Yeah, that's
Is that a wall? What is that?
It's a wall, but it's sort of an entry wall. It's part of our sort of pool enclosure. It's the front gate, if you will.
I think the question is, are you building that up? Or
No.
That's the natural grade?
Yeah, yep.
So there's wall and hedge, I think, is what maybe that's.
Because it kind of, from this perspective, it presents almost like a 3-story building. I think that's part of the problem.
I'm wondering I don't know how much the other board members have been able to go through the plans and all, whether it makes sense to just spend a few minutes. I don't know if you want to sort of just kind of present the project, like, what, how you enter it, like into the project, like,
please.
What's the sort of the impetus of the project, where, did the idea spring from, and kind of also what program is where's the garage, so just to explain it relative to the site too. Just give us a walkthrough.
Yeah, it might be helpful to go to the survey drawing, which has the
Which way am I going?
Going the opposite way. Yeah, you can even go further. Dan Thorpe is here also from LaGuardia. He would like to talk about the landscape and site a bit. Keep going. Oh, sorry, I think you passed it. Oh, it's with the yellow. Yeah, there you go.
The survey?
Yeah, that might be helpful just because it's block plants. Okay to.
Yes, please.
Yeah,
And orient us to like where this is.
Yeah, so Cove Hollow Farm Road is here.
It's not Cove Hollow, it's Wainscott.
Sorry, Wainscott, that's our only other.
Yes.
Wainscott Hollow Road, Sayers Path over there. We have Town Line is up that way. And Maine, or Wainscott, Maine is down here. So it's a shared driveway. It's a 40-acre subdivision, as you all know. 28 is the reserve, 12 distributed amongst the other lots, the 7 lots. So we're at the end of the subdivision. It's a shared driveway up to here. We come in, part of what we thought was so wonderful about the site was that you do have this reserve, and we've been there a number of times, and you're not near the ocean, but the sort of just the mesmerizing experience of being in that field with the wind going through the tall grasses is quite something, we thought. So the client wanted a tennis court, which as you also know, takes up a big hunk of square footage, but we didn't want to have to look over a tennis court to the wonderful reserve. So we kind of parked the tennis court in the rear, if you will. You come in around it to a roundabout driveway here. You have guest parking just north of the tennis court. And then the owners will come around next to the lot here to a garage, sort of an open breezeway, and then sort of the main house with all public spaces here. Again, sort of, as I said before, like a compound, like an agricultural compound distributing the buildings a little bit more equally along on the site. So you have the main house, the garage, and then the pool house over here. We are hoping that the main house and the pool house kind of embrace the pool and embrace that view. Back here, next to the tennis court, we have the only green lawn on the property. It's called a lawn panel. And so the living room becomes a sort of threshold between those two very kinds of different outside spaces. Let me go through them.
Just under 1.8 acres.
Okay. Yeah, so our generators over there just to pick up.
Proposed generator, I
just
wanted to point out.
So
Yes,
the tennis court is sunken.
Specs for that.
And maybe Dan could go through that with his slides, but the generator is at the lower level of the court. And then there is, so that's almost 5 feet at this point, roughly. Let's slope up a little bit. And then there's a hedge above that. So the generator is probably 7 to 8 feet, below what you can see. Again, we don't have any deer fencing at the moment. It's all 4 foot tall fencing around the perimeter. There's no privet anywhere except maybe along the entry there a little bit. But again, Dan can talk to that. If you want to go.
What am I doing?
You can just go forward.
My goodness.
Go to the renderings maybe. Or once you go here, maybe Dan
Stay there.
chime in too, but a little bit more specifically with the program. So that's that roundabout. The day-to-day, we'll have cars come in here to the garage. We sort of thought of this, this is part of the reserve as well, but it's kind of the back of house, if you will. You can still see a little bit of the neighbors, but they can't really see you. You're tromping around there. You can hear them more than see them. So we thought we'd actually be kind of good neighbors, if you will, by putting that sort of quiet stuff over here. We have the main entrance for the owners to come into a mudroom here, an open stair, sort of kitchen, back of house. We have an office here, living, dining here, and then a sort of TV room in the back over here. Again, this is pretty open. It's not all glazed, but there's some big openings in the living dining room. The kitchen has a pretty large covered area here. These are terraces down to the gym below, pretty tight. Pool, and then our 200 square foot pool house with a covered pavilion that way. He's going to talk to you about the green stuff. So this is one rendering. We did try and think about how we could bring the agricultural field as much as possible. I mean, that's going to be a rotating crop. But to sort of bleed that line between the reserve and what we have going on here. So there's no manicured lawn, any of this area here, just a galvanized wood post fence.
And just orient us, I would say, just going through
And
the
you're looking
renderings,
for the
just,
reserve, you're looking.
okay, so you're looking south.
South, yeah.
Yeah, the driveway.
Wait a minute. So that you're saying south toward the pool house, is that not sort of west?
Yeah, southwest.
Southwest?
Yeah.
Okay.
We'll refer toward,
Yeah. This is the roundabout of the entry.
So is that the garage structure that we're
This
looking?
is the garage here.
Okay.
There's sort of a yoga workout room above with wood slats. This is in front.
Sorry to interrupt you again. The garage is how tall? Is it a flat roof? Is that why it's?
Here, yeah, I think it's 10 feet.
Okay.
This sort of
So what we're
line.
seeing gabled is the main part of the
Yes,
house.
this is, and there's a little bit of an overhang here.
Oh, okay, I get it, yeah.
Slatted
It's
opening
hard to
here,
imagine.
just to an outside room there. You walk under this yoga room outside to the main entry. So you will come in and you'll look straight through the house. This is sort of the guest wing back there. The tennis courts to your right. And this is all planted softscape parking right here.
So they're grass paver,
Right.
those things.
Right.
You know.
This, the second floor, just so if you. So we each did
Oh, good.
renderings, some
There
with
it is.
more accurate flora than others. So these are our renderings. You do have a couple steps up, and we can, some finessing here with the grade, because, you know, we didn't want to have you drop down into the house from the parking. We're not adding any fill, if you will. This is actually coming down, this sort of, this roundabout, we're sort of removing some soil there, just so you have a couple steps up from this direction only. On the other side, it does, the elevation does decrease. It slopes down a little bit towards the reserve, but only by a foot. I mean, when you're there, it seems flat.
So if it seems flat, how are you getting these changes in grade? You're building
Well,
things,
this is maybe a foot.
oh, that's a foot.
These are like 4-inch steps. Just
Well, how many steps are there?
There's 3.
So it's a foot. Okay, okay. It looks much, much bigger in this
Yeah.
rendering.
From behind the house, you have the pool house to the right. You're looking through the buildings to the reserve.
So that's approaching the house from
Can you go back to
the other
those things?
new lots, correct?
Exactly. If you put the tennis courts here,
Mhm.
pool house, little piece of the pool house, that's the guest wing, the TV room, that's the sort of the main entry. If you're walking up underneath, it's a little overhang, it's the open stair. And similar to the other shot by the kitchen, looking towards the pool house. The third, obviously to the left. So from Sayers Path, or the side of Sayers Path to the north, you have an office and sort of primary bathroom, primary bedroom here, and then the garage this way, and then a little bridge that gets to that sort of athletic yoga room over here. We tried to think, or tried to get it to be as porous, you know, from the side. So we do have an opening by the entry that goes through the building. You can see through the house. This is a covered opening by the primary bedroom. This is another covered opening by the athletic room.
So this is the view from residents along Sayers Path looking at the house. Their
I don't think that
backyards.
they'll see this if you're in the
Okay.
field. Yeah, there's
Well,
a
you
lot
might
of
see it at night though, right? It's likely to be lit. You would see it at night if it's lighted.
perhaps in the winter. The
Uh,
shot that I had was in the winter. We actually just drove through it. And from one of the lots, you can see more than you can from the little spur. The spurs of the reserve, those little knuckles that came up, it was very dense.
In the yoga room is interior space, correct?
It is up to here, and then this is just
Okay, so that's what
open.
I'm wondering. So the one above the garage, is that outdoor space? Because I thought in
This is
plan. it
outdoor
was.
space.
Okay, it's not.
This is inside space right here.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the interior space ends at the chimney, the second
Yeah.
chimney.
Yeah.
Okay. So to the right above the garage, so the board knows, apparently that is like a covered outdoor room.
Yeah, sort of akin to that one.
mhm.
Yeah. But there's no opening that way, it's just slatted. And then the fence wrapping around, no fence on that side. In the reserve, obviously the pool house on the left, looking to sort of one of the other images. These are the guest rooms up here. There's 3 guest rooms. The living, dining here. There is a sort of interstitial sort of little height space by the dining, the primary bedroom here, and then the kitchen and outdoor kitchen area. That. All right.
Any landscape we want to hear about?
Yeah, can we hear about the
Dan, do you have
landscaping?
anything to add?
Yeah, hi, Dan Thorpe, landscape architect with LaGuardia Design. You know, it's rare we get a client that embraces the idea of minimal lawn, pulling from the surrounding context of meadows and kind of dragging that landscape up and around the house. So we jumped on that opportunity, and so I did do a sketch that's a little more illustrative to show the greenery and how it kind of weaves around the house. But given the house is kind of compartmentalized into these different volumes, we are pulling the vegetation up in between and kind of weaving it through the building. So instead of,
Can you just hold it up and a little more? Yeah, that's much better. Thank you. Do we have an easel?
so
Yeah, unfortunately, the public can't see this, so it's.
Okay.
I can speak from the plans. It's the same plan. I just put some color on it.
Oh, then, yeah, let's
Oh,
just.
looks
do
great.
that.
I mean, the
Yeah,
color is
please.
nice. It's helpful.
So
Is this the right page?
this is fine. I think you guys are oriented now with the site.
Yeah.
The landscape concept was to offset the kind of the intensity of the development between the house and the tennis court by bringing in native meadows filled with indigenous species instead of just wrapping lawn around the building and the swimming pool. And thankfully, we've found a client who's fully on board with that concept. We have basically meadow grass coming right up to the farm field side of the house in all directions and weaving up into the kind of the interstitial spaces between the building. We're trying to, we realize with the garage so far from the entrance that there is quite a bit of driveway getting there. So we've tried to offset that with some, we call them like Jeep track, like grass strips up the middle of the driveway. The parking area is all grass block paving. So the only real piece of appreciable lawn is this strip that's narrower than this building that travels between the house and the tennis court. The rest is very heavily planted. We want to preserve the open vistas, so the pool fence would be wood cedar posts with galvanized mesh and spanning the posts to allow the views through and to allow the vegetation to visibly look like it rolls right up to the house.
Is it just 4 foot, but is it that one that angles?
No.
It's not? So
It's not the deer.
It's gonna be full of deer.
Yeah, well.
They were there
thankfully-
today.
Yeah. The client understands that and he realizes he's buying a house in the middle of a farm field. And those are just the realities of it.
That's so refreshing.
That's
yeah.
interesting, except you're planting a tennis court in the middle of it. That's, yeah, anyway.
Okay, I'm sorry. Are we interrupting you? Did you have more that you wanted to tell us?
Yeah, I mean, there's gathering spaces and paved areas that connect to the house, but I think the majority of what we're doing here on this site is revitalizing the landscape. After we're done with construction, we are going to renaturalize and revegetate this as more of an environmentally friendly landscape, which I understand that it's important to this board, it's important to the area, and we've been in front of the board before, and we're trying to create a landscape that we can steward. And
I'm sorry, could you just go back to the mic if you don't need to, because public will not be able to hear what you're saying, I'm afraid. Thank you for that.
Yeah, please forget.
Yep, I do too. Well, my comment about this is, well done on the landscaping, and that's wonderful that your client is thinking that way. Our community is really suffering.
Yeah.
Our water is suffering from too many lawns, and this is the direction everyone should be going. And I would venture to guess in a decade it'll be law. But anyway, it's not right now, and it's great that they're willing to do that. I just wanted to note, though, in terms of your regrading and whatever you're going to do to move, you could leave that up, Jill, unless you had something else you were going to show us.
Photos.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's look at the photos. Is that the soils there, especially in these ag overlay districts, are very, rare and precious soils, and that the code prohibits you removing the soils from the site. All these grasses, all the plantings that you're proposing would do very well in these soils because it's agricultural soil. It was meant for growing. It's some of the best in the state, really. So any agricultural soil located on any lot wholly or partly within the agricultural overlay district, no agricultural soil may be removed from such lots. You'll have to like reposition it on the
Yeah,
property.
we're obviously going to have it in plenty. So,
Yes, yeah, no, I understand,
So it'll
but
be-
it's also not, it doesn't go down 8 feet, so you've got to figure out which, you get to I would, if you have a client that's this inclined, I would make sure to separate out those
the
topsoils.
topsoil from the
Yeah,
subsoil.
Yeah,
Stockpile.
and I couldn't tell you how deep it is there. That's something you'll have to find out.
It's
but-
usually 8 to 12 inches we found.
Yeah, it can be a little deeper in some of these areas, but in any case, shoot, I had something else I wanted to say and I lost it. Okay.
What do the yellow arrows indicate?
Oh, now these are pictures that I took because, as I said earlier, that there was perhaps the thought that this structure wouldn't be seen from the street. And this is from Wainscott Main Street, and you can see the building. The arrow on the left is pointing at the existing or under construction residence that's in the same subdivision
Right,
there.
we discussed, yeah.
Right. And so this proposed residence would be just to where the
Oh,
other
and so the right is where the new house will be.
vaguely. I mean, I'm trying.
Okay.
This is the same thing. It's just taking the views again from Wainscott Main Street, not even from Wainscott Hollow Road. You can keep going, and just also to take in the whole vista so that we can understand how
The impact of the
significant
development.
these structures, the impact they have on the vista.
And this is from Wainscott Main Street?
This is from the cemetery.
No.
So this is the Dankowski farm. Then this is again now from Wainscott Hollow Road. The building in the foreground here is the old Edwards farmhouse that this board approved to be moved from the central part of this subdivision to comply actually with the subdivision.
Right.
Unfortunately, it had to be moved. So that's still sitting there, nothing's happening with it. But just next to this, there is another lot in this subdivision. So you would potentially have another building there. And then this is the lot.
Okay.
And the deer.
Looking down towards,
There will be 2 buildings or 2 homes between that existing, there's lot 4, 5, 6, 7, so there'll be a line of buildings eventually. along
Yes.
that road.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That we know.
What are these structures there?
Oh, we were doing some mock-ups for some plating. just to-
Okay, that's what I thought. I didn't wade into
Yeah,
the
we're-
weeds there to get there. I shouldn't call them weeds.
Yeah, we're just getting there to start.
Yeah. What I didn't understand was, so I see the property markers here, I believe, are delineating.
We staked out,
But you
you were there in the fall, and we staked out a couple different things.
Okay.
The sighting, right, and how we could transport work.
So if you could just tell me, because I'm trying to figure out how, like this to the left here where that vegetation is a fence and it's a neighbor. So I'm confused as to how, like where the property.
Yeah, so it's interesting, when you came in, so when you come in, there's those trees right in front
Go
of
to the mic, please.
you come in, there's those trees right in front of you from the driveway. We're actually on the other side of that, on the left-hand side.
Go back to the photos, please.
No,
Julie.
I understand. So in other words, where I took that picture is right at the end of that shared driveway.
Yeah, and it's
And
a
then
little deceiving.
And then it tucks in and goes, so I'm trying to understand where your property, where the property sits in reference to that.
It's behind, yeah, and we were.
And then
we
it
were-
curves around.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's behind,
Like
it's
here,
another,
if we're looking at this, where does the property end on
this-
this picture?
it's hard to orient myself, but
So-
the driveway's like this, like
The
parallel,
driveway is where you're standing.
coming like this, so it's on the other side.
Right. So, but where is the western property line in this picture?
Is it parallel with the driveway, right? You're talking about parallel?
No, it would be perpendicular. Because where you're standing is north.
Okay. We haven't gone by the site today, so I didn't see those. So that's the building behind. It's behind us. I'm sorry, it's behind us.
What's behind you?
The fence, the property line. You're looking out towards, this is.
No, I'm asking, okay, so.
If you go to the map, the aerial?
Yeah, let's
Aerial
do
might
that.
be helpful,
Because
Maybe like the
but when
first or
you're
second
there,
image. Yeah,
it's hard
yeah.
to understand how the access
Right.
and what they're proposing is going to sit in that, off of that shared driveway. That's all. I'm just trying to get a sense of that.
The shared driveway is just going to continue.
Because where I was, there was literally the neighbor's
Yeah, I
property
get it.
right there.
It's really a road, isn't it? I mean,
It will be.
Is this it, or?
Well, you can even go a little
Yeah.
bit further
Oh,
the other
that-
way, I'm sorry. But yeah, there you go.
Oh,
Yeah,
you had it,
that
you
one.
had it right there.
So that property line is essentially this hedgerow.
Yes, no, I understand. So where I took the picture is in that little corner right there.
Right here,
That's exactly where it was.
Oh,
Okay.
okay.
So that's what I wanted to.
I'm sorry. Right?
You know where those utilities?
Yeah.
Those are in the photo.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it tucks around there.
And it's an acre and a half, right? 1.5 acres.
so it's not,
Not one, it's not close, yeah, it's 1.5. It's pretty solidly 1.5,
Yeah,
not
I thought it was
1.8.
1.8.
Yeah, no,
Yeah,
it's not as close to 2. There are a couple of, our planner, Tina, gave us a review, which we were grateful for. And some of the subdivision conditions haven't been met here. I don't know what that's going to mean in the overall, but it's something you should know, I think. Because one of the requirements is the applicant shall install public water to serve the lots shown on the map. And there are no water mains shown. The applicant shall install below ground all utilities serving the proposed lots. They are not shown on the submitted plans. Construction of the common driveway shall be in accordance with the approved plan as per the comments of the engineer prior to the future transfer of title. And in this one, she says it's unclear if the project complies. As of April 2021, this remained unresolved per planning department correspondence. So, and then the building inspector shall not issue a CO for any construction, which may take place, I think, on lots 4, 5, 6, or 7 until the common driveway has been constructed in accordance with the approved plans. And the assessment is per the aerial imagery, it's not here, the driveway remains unimproved. The applicant is advised that a CO cannot be issued for the property until the driveway is constructed per the approved plans. There are other subdivision conditions which you comply with, which is great, but I think these are outstanding and something that need to be addressed.
Is that something that would be addressed just before would that preclude us from?
I'm not
starting?
sure. I
So
you know,
I think that
David.
the parts about the water and the larger things are the responsibility of the HOA or whoever created the subdivision. So probably those wouldn't preclude individual homeowners from getting a CO. But as far as the common driveway, if this is one of the lots that takes access from that, that's something that I think that might be more of an issue. You'd have to talk, really to the planning department and the building department, because I think it's the planning board makes that decision eventually. So.
Yeah, this was this was made, and I was actually on the planning board that approved this subdivision. So it's in 2017.
Is there even an active HOA anymore? Or?
I don't know.
Isn't it the developer, Jeffrey?
Yeah, I don't think there is any.
Yeah, you probably have to find out from him.
A lot of times they're supposed to form an HOA within a certain period of time after they create the subdivision. And
I would, well, it's hard to know if that's happened or not. It would seem like perhaps it hasn't, but those are things that are going to have to be addressed, I think.
And lot 4 doesn't have a CFO, obviously, then.
Right. So does anybody have any comments on the massing and scale of this? I mean, thank you for taking us through all that. And I really am grateful for the landscaping portion of it, because this is one of the, personally tragic things about watching the agricultural overlay area become developed is just to see all this green lawn, not the, not growing food, which is what it's supposed to be. But these lots are subdivided, and they're buildable. So that's what we're dealing with. I would, if we could go to it says render A, if we could look at render A. You were in the right arena, I think.
Oh, the one with all the pictures.
Yeah, well, this is the view I'm looking at.
It's the.
Did you want to say something, Diane?
Well, you began basically your presentation by talking about the possibility of reducing the height. I mean, that's the thing that I think is the most jarring aspect is the height of the main building. It's I mean, I think it's very sensitively done, but it just, and I know you talked about proportion and length and height and things, but it just seems so high.
Yeah.
I think it might help to know perhaps like what the height of this is versus the other one under construction. I don't have that in front of me.
We've seen those drawings. They're right at 32.
Yeah.
I mean,
no, it's
exactly. You're the same height. You're
like
2 inches
4
below,
inches
and that's
below.
the other volume is a little lower even by about a foot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. I think it's just the way this presents from this elevation. It looks like a 3-story building. I understand that it's not, but I wonder if there's some way to bring that height down a little bit. And
but what's like
I understand the pitch. I get the
Dan before we've talked a lot about your sort of your entry into a home and having your home below where you get out of your car, and that being could be awkward sometimes, and it's a little bit nicer to just go up to the house. So we're actually removing a little bit of this right here just to get the steps, to have the building just a little bit up off the dirt, so it's not totally flush. But we're going down from the existing grade to do that. We're not calling this the new existing grade by any means.
Okay, so
it is what it is.
So you're creating the elevation by lowering the driveway.
Only on this side, yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell too much on this because I worry rendering some kind to play tricks on them.
Yeah, no, I get it. But that's all we have to look at right now. So that's the one thing. And I think that I feel just as Diane has expressed, I think it just presents as really high. And I wonder.
One thing to add is that.
Could you just come closer to the mic, please?
Sorry. One thing to add is that when you're there, it feels very flat, like a pancake, because you're in the middle of the open farm field. When you really study the existing topography that's on the surveys, there's 5 to 6 feet of pitch from one side of the site to the other. And given the shape of the building, we have to slide the building into the site and try to hit that even cut fill balance so that
makes sense.
We're not creating a need for retaining walls and stairs and extra site infrastructure that's not needed. We're trying to be very efficient. The issue, though, you have a hillside causing runoff towards the building, which can lead to drainage issues. So we did have to, on the high side, carve away a little deeper so that you could get up to the building without creating drainage situation.
That's a helpful explanation. Yeah, no, that makes sense.
We did site the house in a way where we tried to be very efficient with the
yeah, I understand. Thank you. Can we just scroll through the elevations again?
We don't think we're being sort of exorbitant with the ceiling heights. They're not vaulted.
How tall are they?
I think there's a few different ceiling heights. So we're at 10 for like the lower kitchen area. And then we have, I don't know
where I'm going.
Oh.
You
can go to like maybe the elevations.
Are they on this one?
Yeah. I'm sorry, you have to keep going. Yeah. Well, it's like 10 for the kitchen and the dropped areas, and then it's a little bit of a skip step for the guest bedrooms versus
This is
the
a good
primary
place to stop.
bedrooms.
Stop there. Thank you. That's a good place to
There
stop.
are only 9 at the guest bedrooms, as you go up to get a little bit more elevation for the living areas.
You mean 9-foot ceilings? Is that what you're saying?
For the guest bedrooms, yeah.
Okay.
But then, if you're at 612 and you have a certain width of a house, we tried to keep the house kind of narrow. You just end up where we are, and it's sort of a game to get that to work under 32.
What's narrow? What's the width?
Well, it changes. I think we're about 28, and then it shrinks and goes back, and it's 1 room wide. I mean, if you go back to the plan, sorry, thank you. The whole house is always just 1 room wide, especially on the ground level. There's a living room. You walk through the living room. There's a dinings in there.
But when you say 1 room, it's a 26-foot wide room.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
It could be more than 1 room. Yeah.
Am I in the right place?
You can be, yeah. There's the bedrooms, so that's
Can aspire
at the
to it.
scale of the bed for the room, hallway, little outside area. If you go down below, but this is overhung. Here, if you go 1 back, please. Yeah, outside, yeah.
Right there?
Yeah. So you have the living room, it gets smaller here, and you have the TV room. It is overhung on the top to get you some shade, I think, which actually helps with the proportion of the house. So it's just not a 2-story foot or a 2-story tall wall, which I think makes the house look much more awkward and large. So we think that streamlines the house quite a bit. But again, I'm sure you've seen bigger. But I don't know if there was a conversation to make it smaller by 6 inches or a foot. I think it's something, but I don't to have it meaningful. I mean, the lot 59, which is the corner where the farmhouse was moved, that's 1,300 square feet, 1,300 feet away, which is about a quarter of a mile. And if you reduce the house by 6 inches or a foot, I don't know if that is meaningful relative to the other house, to lot 4 that is there, which is 32. I'm not trying to be difficult or.
Exactly. That's exactly what I'm thinking. I mean, I have to say that's why I took the pictures from Wainscott Main Street because you can really see that 32-foot high house.
Yeah.
It's monumental. So we're going to have 5 of these across, it's.
No, I understand. I think that
we're
we did
taking
try,
this into consideration.
Yeah. I think we did try and break up the volume so it didn't seem as massive as lot 4.
I appreciate that completely. If it were 4,000 square feet, I probably wouldn't be telling you that I was, apprehensive about it.
We're about 500 feet under our GFA. We're about 1,500 under our building coverage.
If your lot coverage is just about less than 300.
Yeah, lot coverage is right there.
Lot coverage requirements proposed is 26,695. Allowable is 26,434. So it's more like,
But the building coverage, I think, is about 1,500.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Dan said it just a moment ago that you're using the landscape to offset the intensity of the development. And I think that's an interesting statement to make.
Yeah, I wish everybody would hire you.
Well, I just think it's also that it's also for me a statement that I think I flip it and I say, well, let's not have such an intense development and still do this.
I mean, it's good to offset it, but I take your point. The development intense. I mean, it is. Does anybody else have? As a general comment for me, I wish the mass and scale was a little smaller. I don't have particular suggestions for you. I think that, again, I applaud your landscaping plan and I understand, but I think the idea, that all of these properties, if they're all going to have these big, tall buildings on them, that's going to have an impact on the view shed of the ag overlay, which is part of what we're meant to be protecting. So I wish I had more advice for you in that way. But anyway, Chip, what's your
Well,
feeling?
it's a very intense development of the lot. You've used every square inch to put a building or a driveway or circular driveway on it. But, you're within your right to do that. I just think when there's 5 or 6 of these on this road that cuts across the field, it's going to look like a city. But it's what was approved. So, the design is beautiful. It's just very large design.
Yeah. The subdivision was approved, but part of the mass and scale, that's our purview. Diane, did you have anything more you wanted to say, or did
I
you?
think that everybody's concerns are
Yes.
more or less.
Frank, did you have something
line.
you wanted to offer?
I'll add a few things. Like I would say, if we're going to have to look at something, I'm grateful to look at this.
Yeah, I agree.
I think this has a lot of architectural merit to it. I think it's very well thought out. I think there's been a lot of attention paid to details and materiality, and doing your best to work with the massing, given what's been asked of you, probably programmatically. What else? I think it's a very compelling project. One kind of minor comment, architecture. I wonder that the chimneys seem, I'm not sure if they need to be that high functionally. I mean, I would be fine with it, but I just thinking that could they be brought down a little bit?
We'll make you a deal. You leave the ridge line where it is, we bring the chimneys down.
Well, I'm not going to speak for Kathy, but as we said, this is not a negotiation. But again, it's not a demand. I was just thinking that I'm not sure it needs to be that high, but yeah, I mean, I think it's a very compelling project. So that's where I stand.
Okay. Did you want to say anything more, Monique?
Well, I think if there would be any consideration with regard to the mass, the scale, just the whole volume of this, and then there were just a few things that I noted in reviewing the plans. There were just sort of typos, or I don't know if you want to call them clerical errors, like with the pool house. I was confused when looking at them because it would indicate that I was looking at a north elevation when really it was an east or west elevation. So I just would ask you to go over those and make sure that everything directionally is fine. And then also the detailed lighting plan. I think we haven't even talked about, in general, the amount of glazing on this proposal. And I think we've talked about it enough, but I think perhaps reconsider the amount of glazing that's proposed. I know some of those are just openings as well, but then there's going to be lighting, and we talked about this already. In the winter, it's going to be a lot on that reserve. You really see things, I have to tell you, at night on this land. So a lighting plan and specs.
This is the lighting plan and specs.
You're right. Yes.
Pretty detailed.
But I think, were they very detailed? I don't know why I wrote that note, because I must have missed something. But we do also, there is a generator proposed, and we would need the specs for that.
Yeah, especially the noise outputs, because that's whatever decibel levels, it may need baffling for that purpose. And it might need an enclosure to achieve that, to meet the town's decibel level.
Yeah, it is quite low in the pit. Tennis court wall there, the sunken court is quite tall.
Yeah, it sounds good, but you'd have to have a sound engineer evaluate it and give us the specs, because we can't approve that if it doesn't meet the sound ordinance. And that's not something you can get a variance from. We just can't, until it meets that, we can't approve it. So
I think that the specifications probably have a noise meter reading from certain like 20 feet or what it's standard for most of them. So
Yeah, it should. I'm sure they're familiar. Yeah.
And then one last thing also is that I presume are there going to be solar panels?
Yes, yeah,
So
they're
we-
on the roof plan. We just got our HERS rating yesterday, to tell you the truth. And we're gonna be fine with them. We tried to keep them off the high roofs. We do have them on a little bit of the flat roofs.
Right.
And then on one side of the pool pavilion.
Mhm.
So low. So you don't see any on the high roof, and we don't have any hips. So you don't get that weird,
Yeah, no, I'm remembering now that they're mainly on like the
Yeah.
flat portions,
Right.
right? Yep. Okay.
Are you planning to stain the wood or are you just, okay,
It just
Yeah,
for
Alaskan
weather?
yellow cedar, let it go.
okay. Is there like a material palette here that lists,
Yeah, there's
Okay.
it's in here, it's in that document too. We
and the windows and doors are aluminum or,
Yeah, they're painted, yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
so they're aluminum black or,
No, they're trying to get as close to the sort of, in 6 months, hopefully the Alaskan yellow cedar will be a beautiful gray. We're going to try and get as close to the wood color as we can.
so grayish?
Grayish.
Okay.
Yeah, we have a sample actually here. I can give it with you.
That'd be great.
So what's next?
No, so I think
Well, for you to discuss with your client what's possible as far as,
Yeah, I mean, if I can get some clarity on height. Where the height comes down, like what is meaningful relative to the other house? I mean,
I don't want to necessarily relate it to the other house because it's not,
That's too
it's such a,
big, yeah.
yeah, it's such a, not a good reference.
Right.
It's hard to really tell you because for me, again, if you had come with something that was, smaller,
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
we might not be saying anything about the height.
Yeah, I think that's part of it. I think the entire mass and the height is just
Together.
part of the whole
Yeah.
mass. So to give you I mean, I understand that this is construction and, it's geometry. If you lower the height, everything affects everything else. But I think if you could just, as Franz is saying, talk to your client about just kind of reducing
A little more restrained.
and maybe the whole silhouette of it, so it's not quite so. I mean, I think you've done a fine, this is a difficult position. I like the design of it. I really do think you've done a good job with that. It's just the mass and scale is not harmonious with the agricultural overlay district. And it's a lot of development on an acre and a half. It's very intensely developed. So if there's some way you could get them to consider making it a little smaller and reducing, but I can't tell you exactly how to do that. That's one of the difficulties of our job is we can't design the house for you or give you specific.
I'm just thinking what the tools would be.
I understand.
Yeah.
It's not
I can't give you a number. It's hard,
Yeah, it's, I think if you could just, I would work more conceptually so that when you come back to us, you don't have to do this whole big presentation again, give us a few sketches of something that might be of like a reduced size of some kind, reduced mass and scale. And, see.
Not redesign the house.
I wouldn't redesign the house. I would just try to make it smaller so that it's, I mean, if you can, I can't suggest that I know
Yeah,
what to do.
I don't want to take up all of your time, but if, say we had more flat roof area. I mean, I think one of the things that helps, I'm not trying to be difficult, but I think,
No, I understand.
not having like hips and valleys.
Mhm.
So you don't have one long ridge line, right?
Mm.
But by breaking it up with flat roofs in
Mhm,
between
mhm,
as a tool,
Yeah,
helps to break that down. I mean, if there were a
Yes.
case where maybe some at the ends of gables were flat or something like that.
that might help. Yes, that might help. It's hard for me to, I can't tell you what to design exactly. It's hard for me to say to you, if you do this or that, that'll be
Mhm.
better or acceptable. I would defer to your professional judgment on what you think in a way that you might be able to reduce the mass and scale.
Okay.
And if that's one of the tools, then please try that. But don't go into the whole, don't make this exact same presentation, because I know that's a lot of time and resources, and we'd rather see something more conceptual. So then we can say, oh yeah, that's much better. Go ahead and then detail it all out. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. And
It's an important question because it means resources on your end to where do you go with this? I understand it.
Yeah. And then just being a little bit of a newbie in terms of like the timing for that, and we submitted in early February. Is it sort of
well, we can discuss that with Julie. I don't have I don't have our agenda. We're booked out to probably the end of June at this point, maybe early July. I'm not sure. If we can get you in for another brief, review, if you're able to submit something that, won't require this level of detail, then maybe we can get you in sooner. I can't guarantee you anything.
Okay, I appreciate
Because
that.
there are other people that are in line too. You've been waiting since February. And because these take this much time,
Right.
that's part of it, is we can't do too many of them in one night, or we're here all night. Okay. But you've done a good job. I don't want you to go away discouraged. I think you've done a good job. It's just a little too much.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right. Thank you. All right. Enjoy your weekend. Okay. Fine residents, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-189-5-5. Is Ms. Hoag present?
Yes.
Ah, here we go. All right. Thank you, Esperanza, and for the board. I think that was
Thank you. Yeah, thank you.
a good job on that one. It wasn't not easy. Okay. All right, Frank, this is yours.
Okay. Julie, if you could bring up the site photos, which are the satellite photos, really just 3 images. So to orient people where this is.
If you folks want to come up and sit in the front row, you might be more comfortable. Okay, no, I just want you to feel.
Okay. So I'll make an introduction of this and try to explain it in general terms, and then you can.
Sure. Thank you, Frank.
Explain. Okay, so here's the site on Further Lane. Next page. That's what's there existing.
Right, okay.
And
That's existing.
That's an
the
existing building,
house.
yeah.
That's not proposed. And that's approximately the lot there. So this is an application for a new residence on a 2.0 acre flag lot off Further Lane in Amagansett, between Further Lane and the ocean. This application falls within our purview because it is adjacent to, but not within, the agricultural overlay district. Currently, there is an existing private dwelling, pool house, pool, and some small accessory structures on the property. These will be demolished as part of the proposed construction. The applicant is requesting approval from this board for a new single-family residence with a pool house and pool. Some overall numbers proposed are as follows. And Julie, now let's bring up the proposed plans. I think there's like number 1 and number 2. There's a PDF, like a 10-page.
Plan, is that what that is?
I want the one that has, I don't recall what the file name is. I can give it to you.
Hold on.
Is it the survey or the site plan?
I think it's the site plan. It's the ARB submission package 1 is what yeah. Bring that up. Okay. Well, I'll say this. The proposed site plan is very similar to what has been built, where the bulk of the primary residence sits on the east side of the lot and roughly where the existing residence is sited. The difference is the new residence would have a wing that extends east-west, separating the entry parking lot and lawn from the rear yard. The overall, what number page is that?
This is proposed building site plan.
Okay, keep going. Yes, this is a good one. So, okay, so here are the numbers. Proposed GFA 9,496 versus 9,945 allowable. Building coverage is 8,300 square feet versus 8,399 allowable. Lot coverage is 20,925 square feet versus 29,399. The GFA of the pool house is 54 square feet. There's a pool, a spa, and a pool deck. I'll read what the East Hampton Planning Board states about the massing and scale of the
Planning
residence.
department. Planning board or planning department?
Planning department.
Okay, you
Thank
said
you for the
planning board. I
correction.
just want to make
Thank you
sure.
for the correction.
Yeah.
They said the site is a flag lot and would not be readily visible from the public vantage points on further land. As proposed, the property complies with permitted lot and total coverage requirements. Lot coverage as compared to the existing conditions is being increased by approximately 750 square feet, and total lot coverage is being slightly reduced by approximately 108 square feet. The proposed single-family residence height of 28 feet is lower than the existing single-family residential structure, which is approximately 32 feet 6 inches. The single-family residence size is approximately 450 square feet lower than what would have been allowed per dimensional regulations, which we've talked about before. The house would be clad in cedar shingles and cedar fascias. We can start running through this like elevations. There are the plans, landscape. Let's go through. There's the second file that shows the elevations. That's pretty important. What I have is file name for that is package 2. Package 2. Yeah, let's go through that. Okay, here are the elevations. The house is would be clad in cedar shingles with cedar fascias, a cedar roof, and mullioned windows with black frames. There would be a minimal stone skirting. Overall, the material palette will gray out over time as cedar naturally does. Let's keep going through the elevations here. And I think if the architect is here, he could walk us through it a little more. Overall, while the residence is quite large compared to most other residences in the town of East Hampton, I don't find it overwhelmingly so on this 2-acre lot, and also considering the size of other residences in the area. I find its massing to the east of the lot compelling as it creates a very large rear yard. The other side of this lot on the east is the driveway for the neighboring property, which is a huge lot, one of the few properties that runs contiguously from further lane to the ocean. The proposed house is also not as high as the existing house, so visually the profile is smaller compared to the existing house. So that's my introduction. I don't know.
Okay, thanks,
Is it a
Mike.
modern house or a traditional house?
It's a little bit of both.
Okay.
What is the height of the?
So on the plans that there are 2 different heights. So I think it probably would be helpful to have the architect walk through it and explain each, but Julie, if you want to go back, did you close out the other files? Let's just keep it on there then. So, so in terms of height, the one on the right, so that's as you're entering the lot that's facing the ocean. The entry to the house is in the middle in that wing. So beyond it is the rear yard. To the right is this library volume, and the height of that, I think, is about 28 feet. And then the bedroom wing to the left, I think, is 24, which is actually the maximum building height. There's some limitations on building height based on height above grade. So it sounds like there's a topography change that
We're assuming 6-inch from natural grade to pitch.
Sir, would you come to the, Karen, did you want to make some comments?
No,
apart
actually, I
from
was
the-
just going to actually introduce Adam Miller.
That'd be
Who's
great.
the architect, as well as Kristen
That'd be great.
Fine, who's the homeowner. But I think it makes the most sense for Adam to kind of.
Perfect. That's where I was headed. Okay, thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Would you like me to kind of start with the overall design
I
or?
think that's a good idea, unless others
Okay.
works for me.
Do you mind going to sheet?
I'm so bold to take 3 minutes and just introduce myself. It would be my residence, and I'm working.
You'll need to come to the microphone, ma'am. This is all broadcast to the public, which is why we have people speaking to the mic. Hi.
Hi, I'm Kristen Fine. This is proposed to be my primary residence. I grew up in Noyak and I love it very much out here. I'm aiming to get the youngest 2 of my children out of the house in 2 years and move here full time. So that's the goal here. I am a designer. I own a store in Sag Harbor. And to answer sort of your question, is it a modern house or a traditional home? It's really that beautiful place that the Hamptons does so well, where I think they meet together. And so I spent about 5 years looking for somebody who could help me interpret that, and finally found Adam, who understood what I was sort of hoping to accomplish here, which is something that's set lightly on its land, that understood that it's part of, this place is very special, that it understood that it's about the light, it's about the things that grow here. This property, why we bought it, is because of all of the trees that are there. I think you were there. And it's everything. I mean, it's just magical. There's the huge tree, the willow that we're building based off of that. That's why the library is where it is, to accentuate that and frame that. So it is both. It is very much with a reverence for this place and this space that we have designed everything that you see. And I just thank you for your time. And
Okay,
he's really
thank
great.
you.
But we did work hand in hand very much so. So if you have any questions about
Sure.
anything that seems odd.
Thanks very much. Thank you. Okay.
Let's see, Julie, do you mind going to A0.8? So as Kristen mentioned, it's
Not on the previous one.
Oh.
Boy, this is so laborious.
Well, I think we shouldn't close the file when we want to go to
Don't know
another.
what I'm doing.
Oh, okay, keep all the PDFs open.
Well,
Then we gotta reopen them.
So in general, we're working with a site that's a little over 2 acres with a very mature landscape. So really, the main idea is kind of building this house around the mature trees, which is why we have a series of courtyards, one central courtyard and a few smaller. In general, we're keeping the general mass of the architecture in a similar location. On the eastern side, which is kind of on the right-hand side, the property line, we're purposefully not going any closer to the property line. Right now, we have a 30 feet setback where only 20 is required. So I'm purposefully drawing a hard line there so that the landscape can kind of breathe on that side. Because it is a fairly large house, Kristen has 4 children. We really didn't want a looming kind of 2-story wall in a lot of areas. So really, the strategy was to create a pretty large ground level to create a horizontal architecture. And then basically kind of where we could step in the mass of the second level. The layout of the home, it's kind of broken up again to kind of break up the massing. And it's basically a series of spaces based on light studies. As Kristen spent time on the property, there were certain areas that were best for kitchen, living, and things like that. And basically there's, in the central courtyard here, you can see a single level. It's called just a gallery hallway that's basically connecting the different spaces of the program. One main reason for keeping a flat roof on the second level for the majority of the home was to keep a very low profile. I think we're still within, or we're 1 foot less than max allowed for flat roof as well. And then to break up the kind of style and the massing a bit, this library element that's on the left is kind of a contemporary interpretation of kind of the barn agriculture structures nearby. They're actually on the adjacent lot here to the left. There's a really beautiful agriculture barn, so it's kind of a nod to that. The pool house and the pool are roughly in the same area as what's existing. We just basically kind of maneuvered it to fit better with the proposed architecture. The exterior materials were very important to kind of blend with the landscape. So we're very excited about materials that gray out over time, and it'll basically look more beautiful in time and kind of blend in with the landscape with the naturally aged cedar. The existing landscape is, aside from some of the mature trees and the trees and shrubs on the perimeter, is pretty large kind of lawn space. And what's been proposed by the landscape architect is to kind of minimize that lawn a bit and create more of a meadow that comes out of this library space. If you want, I could. I think it's the next sheet, hopefully, in this PDF. Yes. So this is the landscape plan. Again, one of the things we liked about this this lot is that there's kind of a really great landscape to work with already. So it's really was about just adding a few more plantings of trees and kind of, as you can see in the center space where that's existing lawn, that'll be a little bit kind of longer grass meadow area where we will still have, for recreation purposes, a lawn in the back there that's on axis with the pool.
Football.
Yes. With the family.
Football?
Let me see. So the driveway area, if you zoom out just a little bit, again, just to kind of not adjust the program too much to what's existing, we kept the driveway in the same area. So that really lots of the site can have kind of just landscape breathing room after you kind of go beyond the center point there. None of these structures in the proposed building abut any setbacks. So we're basically kind of pulling back anywhere that we can. Again, since we have a gracious site to work with, I'm trying to kind of keep it towards the center. And as mentioned, the library is kind of the one element that kind of protrudes from the existing footprint of the existing home. Yes.
Do you want to show the render? I have a few renderings here.
It should be at the end of this PDF. The last few slides of the PDF should have a few renderings. So the renderings don't really show too accurate about the with the landscape design. It's a bit kind of schematic with that in its sense, but
helps show the architecture.
Yes, yeah. So in general, the architecture, it's a combination of the cedar shingles with this horizontal cedar fascia that kind of wraps around these courtyards in the gallery. So that's the back side of the library. And then here you'll have the library on the left with the bedroom wings kind of in the center portion of the rendering. And then on the far right is the living space with the kitchen beyond, which gets is basically located for ample sunlight. This is looking back at the library space is raised 2 feet off of grade, where everything else is roughly on grade, and that's basically kind of to get a kind of more of a grand lookout over the rear lawn. Because we have a bit of glazing, some large openings, we're breaking them up into mullions and operability, just to kind of break up large glass areas. We do have a few chimneys that will just be minimum height requirements above roof, and those are clad in the cedar fascia as well.
And again, to remind the board, this is a very private lot. It's not visible from Further Lane, as you saw in the satellite photograph. It's a flag lot in, I think, a couple of houses. It's abuts in that it's between 2 ag overlay properties, but it's very well screened and private.
Okay.
In terms of, I was going to ask, in terms of the exterior lighting, like on the elevations, I see like a sconce here and there, but I don't see something against every operable door or slide.
Yes, I was very conscious of that. So we have sconces, and then in a few areas where I do have a little bit of eave or overhang, I'm putting recessed lighting, which is my specs are dark sky compliant.
Do we have a lighting plan with, it's like,
we have an exterior or a landscape lighting plan, which is
what we'll need to see then, it's just, it's a requirement, is we need to see either like an electrical plan showing where those fixtures are, or on the elevation, you would sort of key in, like bubble in or something, like fixture A, fixture B here.
Okay.
Just so we know what's going on.
Okay. Yeah, on the exterior elevations, it's a little bit hard to tell at this scale, but all of the architectural exterior lighting is called out as sconce or recessed.
Okay.
And then I have specs for those as well.
Okay. So is this like the one spec used throughout?
It's more of a question with your dark sky compliance. I was wondering if that is what's proposed throughout for sconces, but whether there's because I know basically kind of with some specs they're by code dark sky compliant, but also you guys, I went through the illustrations and I see your regulations. Are you guys open to products that comply that might not be marketed as dark sky compliant? Maybe that's a fuzzy question.
That's something
like they basically shine down.
Yeah.
That are not rated officially as dark sky compliant, but intuitively they are because they don't shine up or out.
Okay.
And they're,
I think if
Yeah, I
anything,
think we have to get guidance from the planning department on that.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry for bothering you.
That's okay.
If anything, we were open or interested in a sconce with a living finish, like a bronze or a brass or something.
okay. So,
Sounds
I mean,
nice.
to me, like I'd be fine a sketch and you just show like a detail showing where the bulb is relative to.
Yeah.
So if there's no glare.
Yeah. There's a beautiful product I was hoping to use, so I'll see what you guys think. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm curious what other people say, but I don't have any really comments about the architecture on this.
I am not your fan. Would you like to
I
go
think
back
it's a
to
very
one of the
personal
elevations?
choice to tear down that house and build this house. And it seems to be screened and private, and it's a very personal choice.
It's a big house that's there now. I was looking at the pictures of it, but I'm fine with it.
One thing I do that may not fall within this purview, but I would ask of the owner is and I think this is going to become an issue in the town, is to do your best for a responsible demolition in terms of where those materials go and how the building is taken down. That's just a request.
That's how I live, actually. My shop is a 200-year-old house, and I am constantly trying to save what's there, reuse it, repurpose it, rethink it. This may look contemporary on the outside, but in that library, for instance, I'm trying to source old bookshelves to put on the walls instead of creating new ones.
Right.
So 100%, the house that's there looks a lot more sturdy than it actually is. We don't want to replace anything with our plans, but we just had to put a new boiler in part of it to be able to have hot water.
Yeah.
So it's really hanging on right now.
Yeah.
But I absolutely take to heart what you're saying, and was already in my head going, when can I do a tag sale of these things, and how can I gift these sinks to whom? And also the builder that we're hoping to work with, Alex Forden, is very, very sensitive to that as well, and often is my best resource for who could possibly use this.
Have a demolition sale. That's what people have, where everything in the house
Actually,
gets
a
marked.
thing, yeah.
Instead of a tag sale, it's a demolition sale.
Right.
Well, or just come take it, please. You know, so
Very
thank
nice.
you, and noted.
Esperanza, did you have any comments?
No, I agree with Diane. I think it's a personal decision to personal design, actually. I mean, I feel it has sort of a feel of a school campus for some reason. So, I mean, please don't take offense to that. It just feels like that to me for some reason, just the way it's laid out and the whole library idea. But I guess you need all that room.
Well, if you'd like to know more about it, I'm happy to share it. I do have 4 children, and some of them are already bringing home significant others, so there might be more soon. My husband and I both have offices in the home. We both have our own businesses, and I work from there. And yes, my guilty pleasure is books, and I have the same collection of architectural and art and design books, as well as reading books and writing books. So that was my boondoggle. This is the house that we plan to spend most of our life in. So yes, that library is very probably unique, but I hope maybe you'll come by and think it's beautiful.
What is your store in Sag Harbor?
The 1818 Collective.
Oh, yeah.
It's the old blue
Yeah.
building.
Yep. I guessed that, but
How is it?
by your comments, I guessed it was that.
Oh, thank you.
Dan,
I
gotta go.
Yeah, I'm Kathy, and
It's the future of
yeah. No, I don't think I
Huge
need to.
tree way in the back.
Or, thank you. I don't think we need to.
One
We'll see.
branch is
Just go ahead. Yeah, you can go. I don't want to brush
The
it. just
future of the
because-
huge tree is to save that guy as long as we can. He's very old, and we just wired it up to keep it from, like, I guess they split that kind of tree. It's a linden.
I noticed one of the branches with tag, but
No. Like, a lot of things are tagged to be saved. We've actually created a nursery in the back corner where we're going to move things so that they don't get hurt during the construction. So yes, I'm going to drive everyone crazy with protecting things.
Oh, good for you. I applaud your effort to build around the,
That's why
the
we-
existing landscape, the vegetative, the trees in particular. Trees are they're such landmark, creatures for us. So I think that's a good idea. I don't have, I think it is a personal decision. I'm not, I think you have, I think the height is acceptable. It's a little more mass than I might like to see in the general sense, but I think it probably works with this property in this area. So I don't really have anything. I think you've done a good job with the materials. The fenestration, there's a lot of glass, but I suppose if it's not visible from other places, the one thing that we try to, we're meant to be assessing is the impact of these things on neighboring ag overlay. So if there's not a lot of light trespass, in the evening, that kind of thing, at nighttime,
Shouldn't be any, honestly. The library will rarely be lit up at night.
Yes.
It's not that kind of a space. It's a cozy space for your fire, and you would never see that out there. And also, quite frankly, we want to live here for the stars.
Right. Well, part of what I'm saying is I think the way the property is positioned is that there isn't, no one else will really be able to see it because of this unique property. But I feel like we have to say that because we just talked to this other guy. And in fairness, we have to assess that also and explain why that you can have a bank of windows in one part of this building that we're not objecting to, and the other fellow has a little bit different arrangement, but it'll be seen from a different perspective. So I think,
Situation is so different.
yeah,
So
I'm
different.
just sort of pointing out the obvious, but making sure it's clear to people that that's what we're assessing and why we're assessing it that way. So,
And Frank, can I say that there was an ARB evaluation that we received last week with a few minor comments that we addressed and provided digital copies.
it would have been from the planning department. Yeah, because, the memo from the planning. Say again?
We submitted the revised plans and it had.
Oh, yes, there was an error. Yeah, we talked about that. That just came today, right? Yeah, ordinarily, we would have asked for that to be in before the day of the meeting, but I think because it was just a clerical error, right? It was just a misreported
Yeah, just a
square
little bit
footage.
of left out information on the lighting
Okay.
specs.
And then do we have everything like?
I'm gonna look through it again. So when I'm looking on the elevations, I mean, just one of them, building department's gonna want to know this anyway, but you have, which is good, absolute floor elevations, true floor elevations. Can you do that? And we'll call this out in the letter, but do that for the top of the roofs for both.
Oh, that's such
So
a
we
good
know
idea. Yeah.
where the top of the roof is.
Mhm.
Because it's, it can be 24 feet, you're saying, above natural grade, but we need to know the absolute elevation
Got it.
of
Okay.
that. It's helpful to show that on the
Sure.
plans. And again, sort of a key for, if there's one sconce, then that's fine. Then I think we're good on that. Just make sure that the lighting is called out. I think that should cover it. I'll give it a finer tooth comb and look at it for the letter, but overall, another thing is to dimension the stone skirt.
Okay.
Oh, right.
Sure.
The stone skirt to make the dimensions are not.
So in the elevation, like on this the library wing? No, or the reading, yes. Like there's the stone skirt there.
Mhm.
So just dimension what that is.
Sure. Okay.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Well, I think there are just a few, I'm not rushing you, am I? There are just a few minor details that we need you to sort of just piece this together a little more precisely.
Yeah.
And the proposal that you have for a natural finish, potentially dark sky compliant light. If you just submit your concept to the planning department and they'll give it a review, I'm sure it'll be fine.
Okay.
But that's not we don't make those decisions.
Got it.
And then submit these other things that, we'll give you a follow-up letter, but I think you're in good shape. And we'll try to get you on quickly. If you can get those details in, quickly, it feels to me like we just need to sort of wrap it up a little bit. We can't really vote on it tonight, but if we, I think what you've got is a very favorable disposition from the board.
Okay.
Did you have something? Am I jumping the gun here
I
on you?
said what I needed
Yeah,
to say.
okay.
The only other thing that I was going to ask as far as what's proposed is, as we always ask now, generator.
Oh, yeah. Do you have a generator?
There's an existing generator on the property.
Is it on the property card?
Well, we just have to make sure that
We just-
that
we just have to
complies
make
with the
sure that
noise.
it's been
Okay.
approved.
Okay.
Yeah.
permitted, Approved.
Yeah, and
And if it's going to be moved, then that would have to be reviewed by this board
Okay.
rental registry.
and the specs.
I don't
we need.
see, I don't know, it may be,
Oftentimes people put in generators and they don't.
yeah, they don't comply.
SCO was 2002, so if there's a generator, it may not have made its way onto
Yep.
a.
Okay, so that's something, that's a
Okay.
really good point.
That's
a
something
really
we
good
would
point, yeah.
need if you're planning
Right,
on having.
and make sure you have the specs for that, for the decibel output, and if it doesn't comply with the noise ordinance, we just said this to the other fellow,
Mhm.
then you're gonna have to find a way to baffle it in some way so that,
Okay.
it will comply, because we can't approve it unless it does. And the noise ordinance is not something you can get a variance from, so that has to just work. But I think beyond that, you're in pretty good shape.
Okay. Great.
Okay?
Thank
Did
you
you have
very
any other
much.
questions for us?
Just a quick question. So in terms of timing, I know that you, or Julie had said that they're scheduling right now and throughout June and July is open. In terms of us getting this additional material to you, I mean, is it possible that we can get on an earlier board meeting?
It depends on the complexity of it. We're trying to get these things through as quickly as we can. And as long as what you submit doesn't raise a bunch of other questions that we can't, answer, we'll try to get to it in a timely way.
Okay, appreciate that. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks very much. All right, we're on to issuance of certificates of occupancy. Member Ray had to leave. I'm sure people noticed that. Linda and Zev Wachtell, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-24-2-35. Diane, this is yours.
Yes, this is Lionhead Rock Road in East Hampton. It has come before us several times. I have some pictures, Julie. It substantially conforms exactly with our resolution. The property is very uneven. The topography is very uneven on the property, so there are a few places where the pedestrian gate and the fence measure somewhat less than 6 feet, and other places, well, that's my stepson, Mark, and he's about 5'10".
You're playing target practice with him?
He's a yardstick.
That's so funny.
So I thought that was better than a measuring tape. So as you can see, it's an inch at that point above 6 feet, and the pillar maybe makes it 6'3". But I think generally they have tamed all the fencing in the back, and I think it generally conforms with our.
So it's just the pedestrian gate and I have 8-foot-high wire fence surrounding the side and rear yards with two 6-foot-high pedestrian
They've taken
gates.
away some of the fencing in the back and all. It's mostly sort of in the 6-foot
Okay.
category now. So I think with acceptable builders variances or contractors leeway that it's conformed. So unless there's any
Anybody have any questions for Diane?
No.
Okay. Good. Let's
So
go.
I would make a motion to approve this application for a certificate of occupancy and to instruct the staff to please notify the building department that this is ready for a C of O.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, we're ready to go then. Thank you. Okay, Michael Sabino, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-157-3-3. This is also Diane's. It's the Diane Benson show tonight.
Yes, this is a nice house on Cedar Street that they had a lot of interesting ideas, actually. Everything conforms to our resolution, but
Oh, I
they added
remember
a
this
screen
one, yeah.
porch. They added this outdoor shower in one sort of kind of material, and they added this pavilion in black steel or black aluminum. But somehow I have one more picture where you can see everything. It sort of works.
Oh, go back, please. That's good. Let's leave that for a moment. Thank you.
Somehow it like works with the house and at the 8-inch extension they did on the other side of the house to the screen porch. It all conforms exactly with our resolution.
And the shower structure was part of this resolution?
This pavilion.
The pavilion I
They call it-
remember, and the shower structure also?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
absolutely.
I couldn't remember.
A new mahogany outdoor shower with no lighting will remain neutral.
And it'll gray out, so unless they are
Right.
staining it.
Yeah, all three things. Okay. Anybody
And
have
that
any?
aluminum pavilion is quite interesting, actually, the way the louvers work and the lighting works. It's quite interesting. Anyway, I think all the dissimilar finishes look pretty good and it does conform exactly. So
Similar, I like that word. Okay, anybody have any questions for Diane? We good? Okay, would you make a motion, please?
Okay, then I would make a motion to approve this application for a certificate of occupancy and to please instruct the building department that it is ready for a certificate of occupancy.
There, a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, so we're done there. Number 13, Jenny Stone, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-159-1-18.17. Diane, again, this is you.
Okay, and this is on the very architecturally diverse Field View Lane. And these people have added this garage, 528 square feet, two new decks. There's the major one, two new door locations that you can see them pictured there. One of them is the one at the bottom of the
So was that a patio or a deck? I mean, it was at grade.
At grade.
So that we haven't, why we would have
Yeah,
resolution.
actually, it's not a deck at all. It's a patio. Right.
Goodness.
Anyway, the materials are quite nice and I measured everything and everything seems to be exactly as we approved.
Okay. All right, would you like to make a motion?
And the garage is
Whoops.
being used as a garage.
Could you go back to the pictures, please?
So if there's
Okay, you can make a
no
motion.
objections, I would make a motion definitely
Thank
to have our staff notify the building department that we approve this application and it's ready for a certificate of occupancy.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Now, the Joshua and Eve Weiner, whoops, sorry. Revocable Trust, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-200-1-2.1. Esperanza, this is yours.
Yes, and sorry to make you wait.
Oh, I didn't
should have just
realize you
asked
were
up
here.
first,
Oh,
and
yes, I should have done.
Yeah, well, almost last year. We had one more thing. So you're Jeffrey?
Yes.
Yes, I think I remember you. So we had sent this was before us for a CO at a recent meeting, and there were a couple of things that did not comport with the approved plans. Namely, in a letter from mid-April, we specified that the louvers that were proposed and approved for the east and west elevations were absent.
Oh, yeah.
And the approved plans and specifications did not depict path lights and a second sconce, and so there was a lighting discrepancy. Also, the fencing on the property, there was some tall fencing in the front yard. And so all of that has been brought into compliance. The louvers are now there. This is the front elevation facing Wainscott Hollow Road. The fencing that was there, this is the pool fencing. But the fencing in the front yard along the street has been reduced to 4 feet.
Yep.
It's within the hedge or just tucked in the hedge. This is the other louvered area, which I indicated to Mr. Weiner today when I was there, that on the plans, it actually appeared that the louvers were on the fascia of this structure. So there was sort of
It was originally brought in front of the cover porch, like on the edge, like you were saying. There was a beam that ran across, but that beam was not structurally for the house. So the client wanted more of natural light but also to be with the dark side compliant and not have the interior glaring out, we figured the louvers can be on those windows to match the front of the house as well.
That's fine. So there was just that discrepancy in the rendering. I don't think it's on the elevations. I'm not even sure what's in the elevations at this point. And so that's there. And then one thing that he did point out to me today with regard to the fencing is that the fencing that's all along the rear of the property, which you can kind of catch there, you could see the poles above the split rail, is not the applicant's. It's not this property's fencing. It's from the neighboring property. They've actually enclosed this whole ag reserve with 8-foot fencing. So I would just, flag that as an issue to the building department. So anyway, so that is that. One thing I wanted to ask you, I asked our planner to just take a quick look at the lighting specifications and, the additional lighting, because what was proposed, and I just brought this plan out, or the rendering out of what it would look like at night, this property. I wonder, I asked her whether there was, they're all dark sky compliant fixtures. That's fine, but there are a lot of them. So she gave it a quick review, and you know what? Let me just tell you what she told us to run by you. If I give me a second, I'm sorry, I should have looked this up first. It was a question of whether the specifications had some, there were ranges. And so what was the actual number of the fixtures that were selected for the property? So here, I'll tell you. The fixtures appear to be compliant in that they are downward facing and fully shielded. The lighting output as shown in lumens for the house lighting does seem fairly high. However, there is a range presented of those. The applicant should clarify what they are proposing, and they should choose the lower output options. And I'm telling you this all, not that this will not, stop you from your CO. I just think it needs to comply.
Okay.
The color temperature should be specified for the house lights. The max per the code is 3000 K, and several of the options listed exceed that value. And I can send you this.
Yep.
So I think we really need to have that information and know that all the lighting complies, because this is such a sensitive area.
Right. But they are compliant with dark sky and shouldn't hold up.
I think that, as
But
far
it's more
as
of
a
the
CO,
color and that.
I think I don't know if that's all right to do.
This is new territory for me.
I don't know either, but I don't want to hold you up, because I think it's just one thing. And I know that Mr. Weiner is also sort of struggling with the front of the courtyard there. So I'm envisioning that you'll be back before us at some point.
What is
the resolution is
detailing?
Is approving the
mention the lighting?
plans.
The whole plan.
Right. So
Okay.
those did not include the newly added lighting.
Yeah. David, you have any
So
advice
it
for us?
comports with the resolution, except for that element of the lighting. Possibly. It could be very well
Plans
comport.
is quantity 20 of these, 31 of the step lights, but it's just the color might be a little bit too bright.
Well, and it's how they choose to regulate, set the lighting, right?
Right. I think that's the question.
And they are dimmable. So actually, we are programming wise, we could dim them. So maybe since that we just fired up the lights, it's still in the programming stage, and we can dim the lights. So I will make a suggestion to the AV company to also dim down the lights, and I'll also get you the color specifications on that as well.
That
I
would
think
be
the specs would
that's
be
news
helpful.
That would be very helpful.
Yeah, and
to me as well as regarding color and all that stuff.
That's
So,
the- I
but
guess that's
we
the
can
code.
dim them down before for the meantime until we figure out what.
Right. And I know he's sensitive to the lighting situation. I know there are neighbors there that have some intense light emitting from their properties. So I'm fairly confident that
I drive down that block at 4 o'clock in the morning and I can see.
You can see it. Exactly, exactly. So, so I think otherwise, we can go ahead and I can make a motion to instruct staff to inform the building department that the applicant has satisfied the conditions of the ARB approval and a certificate of occupancy can be issued.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. So now, thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Have a great weekend.
I can send you that information if you like. Yeah,
No, that would be great. Just to understand.
great. Thank you.
so much. Have a good weekend.
Thank
You
you.
too. Now Karen Hogue left, which is surprising to me because we have this temporary certificate of occupancy for art.
She probably didn't think it was necessary.
Okay, all right, as long as it's okay. Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-192-3-4. Diane, do you want to take this?
Yes, this is, Julie, I sent the pictures. The extensive, beautiful new buildings at ARF. You know, I think it's been 2 years. I mean, this
Oh,
is-
yeah,
we've been
probably maybe
working on this,
longer.
that we went over the plans and walked through the space. Well, it's just, I mean, these are the luckiest dogs
And cats.
and cats
Picture, so I'm just gonna.
anywhere.
I
So
met
this
Melvin.
is-
Let's say.
This is the
dog.
the entrance, which is not totally finished. This is the fantastic training facility. It's 8,400 square feet. And every feature of this construction is sustainable. It's the newest thing. The way everything is cleaned is with hydrogen peroxide. There's no, it seems to me like every consideration has been taken. And this is the outside of the
nice.
training
Looks great.
building.
So all dogs will be.
These are the kennels.
Well, one hopes.
These are the air-conditioned, heated kennels, and each one has a little back door and an outdoor space. And they vary in size to accommodate various size puppies and pooches. And it's just, Kimberly was out there with Karen Hogue actually when I arrived.
Okay.
And I sort of said, I think it's going to be a long meeting. And I said to Kimberly, I don't think it's
No, they
even
didn't need to
necessary
be
for her
here.
to
Yeah,
stay.
I don't think so.
Anyways, the pavers came today. She said it even looks 1,000 times better
Really?
today.
Wow, amazing.
So from what I understand, they're asking for a temporary C of O. So I didn't do any measuring or calculating or anything.
You weren't up on the roof doing anything?
No, I didn't do that. But it sure is great that this community can support
Oh, I couldn't
something like
agree
this.
more. Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
David, we've never done a temporary CO in my experience. What is it that we need? Do we just go through the whole thing and call it temporary? Is that
Yeah.
do we have to decide the length of term on the?
No, that the building department. will
Okay, all right.
share that.
Can we make a recommendation that they give them longer? Because I know it's like 30, 60, or 90 days, right? It can't be more than 90 days, I don't think.
I think you remain silent on the period of,
I see.
of
Okay.
time.
Remain silent. I like remain silent. So it's remain silent. Okay. So Diane, would you like to make a motion?
Okay, so then I make a hearty motion to approve this application for a temporary certificate of occupancy and to please instruct Julie to notify the building department that this is ready for this temporary C of O.
Okay, may I have a second, please?
Second.
All in favor? Okay. ARF. Good one. That was-
I'll pause up.
I'll pause up. Okay.
Well, they have pause too.
Yes, they do. Okay, thank you, Diane and everyone. Okay, we're signing the following resolutions tonight. Montauk Properties mural, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-27-3-14. Montauk Properties awning, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-27-3-14. Ocean Surf, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-50-1-27.1. And Fernando Levy, Suffolk County Tax Map number 300-142-1-11.37, and thank you all for your help with those, Frank in particular. And, well, okay, just take a look and see what you signed. So with that, okay, I'll take a motion to adjourn. I want to wish everyone a happy and safe Memorial Day weekend. Be careful out there.
Yeah, the traffic has started.
Yeah, we'll see you in June.
Oh, boy.
May I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right.